It's 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. 24th ranked Tennessee scored the final 8 points of the game to defeat Vanderbilt 68-60. Tuesday night at Memorial Gym, it was the Vols' 9th straight win in the series. Also, Tennessee's won 11 of the last 12 at Memorial Gym, including 6 straight. Santiago Vescovi led the Vols with 14 points for Vandy. Scottie Pippen Jr. led the Doors with a game-high 18. To the ice, Vancouver defeated Nashville 3-1 at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds have lost 4 in a row after going 12-1-1 in their previous 14 games. To the NBA, Memphis Grizzlies host the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. The Grizz have won 12 of their last 13. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your Over the Titans and the Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Welcome in, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. We're powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Glad to be with you. Blessed to be here for the next 4 hours to talk sports, life, whatever the heck we want. 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports, at JMart Radio, at JMart and Ramon. Loaded show today. Nate Washington, Robert Mays, Rhett Bryan, Inky Johnson. I don't know that you need more, but we told you last week was last week. This week's a different animal.
Come on now. Last week we had a ball, didn't we?
Yeah. We're going to have a ball this week too, but
Hey.
Yeah, we did have a ball last. I won't minimize last week because I had a grand old time.
It was a blast. It was the Grand Ole Opry last week.
People actually thought we were logging off last week.
We were a few people thought we were
I'm logging
done.
off of my life right now.
We
Been listening to you yesterday at about 9:55. I thought we were logging off too.
I wish you could play the drop.
Nope. Nope.
That is in the J. and Ramon After Dark file.
You will hear that on our final show in our final segment.
That is in the top secret double probation file.
I did play it for my wife though. And she just stopped. She dropped the spoon. And she was just kind of like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." It wasn't intentional.
It was not. I ain't that lawless now, but what they call that? Some people say everything is content, everything is a show, or that's radio gold.
Well,
Be
I
careful
beg
with
to
your
differ.
decor.
I beg to differ. Yeah, just watch out for your decor.
That was serious gold right there.
Hey, Peter, watch out for your
Can we
decor.
have some decorum, please?
I was close.
I saw at the bottom of the ticker on ESPN about 5 minutes ago. Titans hope to have Derrick Henry back. Hope my ass. Hope. It's not like the Bengals aren't preparing that he's going to be
Heck
there.
no.
They know he's going to play.
So there's this. I text a buddy of mine yesterday. I had to ask him about a song they play in their stadium. I was hearing they play the 3HL play and Ron play the Car Ain't Got No Roof song. So I had to text my buddy. I was like, I've never heard y'all play that before. He's like, do y'all play? He's like, no. You know what his next question to me was? Is Derrick Henry playing? I was like, is water wet? Like, is Trey Hendrickson playing? He was like, well, yeah. I'm like, that's the type of week this is. We can play around if we want to, but y'all know what you're getting yourselves into, and so do the Titans.
Yeah. Look, it's all hands on deck. If he's out there practicing in pads on Tuesday, he will be wearing pads on Saturday.
He out there just banging my guy Tuzar Skipper too, man. You remember we met Tuzar.
Yeah.
I'm like, Tuzar ain't a small guy.
No.
And Derek, he's out there banging with Derek and stuff. So that tea leaves is right. Read the tea leaves. That ain't even reading it.
No, this is light work, man. So Schaefer mentioned a topic that I actually want to do today that a friend of his had kind of just like brought up in passing.
Hold up, you got friends outside of us?
Yeah, I don't know how it happened.
No, the hell is this?
In short, it was what active quarterbacks are going to win a Super Bowl before their career ends.
Ooh.
I like it, and we're going to steal it and do it.
Man.
Not right now.
Yeah,
but we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe next segment we'll start.
Some ones that I thought would have had one by now and don't either.
Scout meeting Wednesday, boys.
It is.
Yep.
I feel like we need the horns this week for that because I'm gonna be real. I dug deep on this one. Pause. I went into the depths on this one, man. It should be real good because you know what my heart is with Cincinnati.
Yeah, you hate them.
And I I was breaking this down like I was freaking a scout or something, man. It should be. I'm excited for this game.
So here's the deal. Yesterday you used the boat race word. Then you sort of explained your boat race, and it's not the same boat race. It's not the regatta I'm used to.
You got the regatta.
The score, I've already got my score in mind. I don't think it's going to change.
I admire mine, too.
And Schaefer mentioned his to me yesterday. I was like, I think we're probably on similar pages.
All of us? Or you and him?
I'm thinking, I don't even care. Like, I don't care. We don't need to wait. We just get everybody psyched up. I got Titans 31-20. I think it's somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. You know what I had? I'm going to write it down, too, so I don't forget. 33-17.
Okay. I mean, that's not, that's 5 more points. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not out of the realm of possibility. I think Schaefer was a little closer than both of us.
27-21.
Because Danny in the burrow is on fire already. Talking about some scout your scouting, Mo.
I'll tell you this, Danny. Monday, if it goes your way,
yeah,
I don't even want to deal with what's going to happen there.
Have at it, man.
Yeah, it'll be all you, buddy.
Saturday night, honestly, you get a chance to get this over with. Oh, well, Monday's the show, but still, scout my scouting.
And I know some people, and you mentioned boat race, but then you're like, okay, not blowout like 47-7 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's that kind of game, just because it's playoff football.
Divisional.
Well, not divisional, but
divisional
round.
Divisional
Yeah.
round is what I meant. I should have
Correct.
finished my words or my sentence. Only thing that gets me with sense is they're youthful a little bit on the offense. And that OL does bother me a little bit with Cincinnati.
I just find it hard to believe they won't be able to score some points.
And you will get into that for real. I went through the numbers, and it's one factor that goes into their scoring big time. There's a couple, but one in particular that's I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what the trend is on your losses. They legitimately have a trend on losses.
But a lot of people are saying, and take it for what it's worth, it doesn't matter. But people are saying that what happens in Arrowhead Sunday is the de facto AFC Championship game. I heard that from multiple people yesterday. They're just disregarding Tennessee, Cincinnati completely.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, real? Oh, wow.
And there's the whole, they're upset that's not the AFC title game
Oh.
because these teams shouldn't have to meet until that point in time when they get the rest out of the way.
Hey, should have did better during the regular season, partner.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, maybe don't lose to the number 1 seed. Both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah, tell it to somebody who cares, partner. Yeah. And I get it. Heck, I think every round this year is gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, say what they want to about the Titans or anybody on this side, even Cincinnati for that matter. Like, you got to give it up to the teams. I had a conversation with a group of buddies of mine yesterday, and we were just talking about the idea that he was like he didn't know if the Titans were real. I was like, dog, you ain't got to believe that they're real. I was like, is there another team that could have been into this? I'm like, yeah, maybe the Chargers, but maybe they would have been out also. And the idea that I truly believe the teams that are in it right now, and the seeding shows that, they deserve to be in this playoff run right now, the divisional round. These 8 teams deserve to be there. And it's not one of those, hey, you did a good job. It's like, who was actually better? Who can you put in now in this divisional? Baltimore don't have it, and they was everybody darlings. And Jay, here are your flowers. You call that from day one. Baltimore will not make the playoffs.
People looked at me like I was nuts.
Because why?
Well,
MVP?
because they had been and because of Lamar and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And I had a couple of different reasons, and one of them was I just didn't think they were going to be healthy. And then all of a sudden you see their running backs start dropping. But I was more concerned about Lamar's health, and it ended up being an issue.
Yeah.
I was worried about Lamar's health and Lamar's offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. Let's just say fans and people I know that are real close to the organization looking at that coordinator like, what the heck are you even into now? Like, Greg, you got the keys to the ship, and you got one of the youngest, if not the youngest, league MVP. Like, do something with them. Figure it out. You're supposed to be the genius. Heck, PFF put you top 10 coordinators, and you dropped the ball this year. Now, again, well, Mo, they had all the injuries, and, man, look, who could have overcame that? Look what Pittsburgh had, and they made it. They swept you.
After this season with the Titans, I don't want to hear a single team ever use the injury argument ever again.
Thank you.
Can't do it.
That's where I'm at. That's either they're like, look, you're winning because of your personnel, or you simply just can't coach. I ain't gonna say you can't coach, but you got some strong deficiencies with what Vrabel and this cast down here has done with 91 guys? Like, and again, a downtrodden Pittsburgh team made the playoffs.
You will say the key factor, though, is with all the guys that did get hurt for Tennessee, at least the quarterback stayed upright all regular season. Now, if he had gone down, we would not be having this talk. You can say whatever you want, but there's no way Logan Woodside's got this team at 12-5.
Yeah, ask the Saints about that, because the Saints would have been in the playoffs with a starting quarterback.
Because they had a championship level defense.
Saints? Yeah, I give that to them. And they got Tom. They got a few people this year as far as good teams. I think that's what Washington's missing also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Washington football team, they're missing that too. Quarterback is this deciding
sort of
factor.
Important.
Yeah.
It is definitely sort of important. Yeah, the best version of the playoffs would have probably had the Chargers in it. And the most entertaining, like from an outside perspective. Like, let's say you're an NFC fan.
Yeah.
What AFC playoffs would you have wanted to see? You probably would have wanted to see one where the Chargers were in it.
Again.
And where the Colts, and probably where the Colts were in it.
You know, that's curse words around.
I know. I'm not saying Titans fans.
Yeah.
Although if you got a chance to beat them 3 times in a year and pulled it off, you'd be glad they were there, because that'd be something you'd be able to lord over them pretty much forever.
That's the Colts.
In their situations, they don't have a quarterback either.
No, they do not.
So, but I like these teams that are in it right now. Like I said, I for real feel like, okay, these teams have earned it. And I had a buddy of mine just trying to bash the seeding of it, and I'm just like, there's not much you can really push back on the fact that, look,
bashing the seeding.
No, just bashing
the same thing
the
I was
teams.
saying about Titans being one. And
yeah,
stuff like
and I'm thinking like,
it's a record. It's not like it was decided in a room by a committee like college football. It's who had the best record.
Yeah, this wasn't a lottery. They earned it.
And that's why I had to tell them. I was like, well, look who the Titans beat. I was like, as much as you want to go against it, I was like, the thing is with them, it just don't look good. It ain't sexy to you. You don't really like their quarterback. And this is a friend of mine. Like, you don't really like their quarterback. They continue to run the ball the way nobody else has and kept a sense of stability. I was like, and they continue to win when Derrick Henry was out. I was like, you can't fault them for beating the people that they needed to beat and getting the number 1 overall seed.
And you wake up to violence, Aaron Schatz.
Football
Outsiders, the pieces at ESPN. The NFL's worst number 1 seed since '83. The Titans make the list, but there are reasons for optimism. Shut your face. Shut your face.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
What's his name? Aaron.
In fact, the Titans do not just have the lowest regular season DVOA for any number 1 seed. They even have a lower DVOA than any number 2 seed. 3 teams have earned number 2 seeds with negative DVOA for the season. The 2005 Bears, the 2004 Falcons, the 2000 Vikings. Each of those teams slightly ahead of the 2021 Titans. Good Lord, man. Like I said, I love the DVOA stat, but there's a giant glaring problem when it does not take into consideration health.
Yeah.
That's insanity. Your stat is flawed if it doesn't include 91 dudes suiting up for one team. The MVP candidate being down for 2.5 months. AJ being out for over a month's worth of time this year. Julio being like all of that. None of that gets factored in. And you're just like, well, the numbers say they're the worst number 1 seed ever. Well, your numbers are flawed entirely. 615-737-1045. 615-737-1045. Somebody's asked me where I got that from. ESPN.com. Article of shots they just published at ESPN.com.
It's fresh on, hot off the press.
We'll come back. We're going to scout the Cincinnati Bengals offense. You will not want
offense first or defense?
Well, usually we do offense first.
Do we?
Yeah.
Let's do defense first this time.
Okay. Last time you did that, we came back and you flipped and did offense.
I know, because I want to save the offense for like, okay, I want people to hear it, like all of this.
Are they not going to hear the defense?
They're going to
tuned
hear
in
the
now.
defense. It's just this offense is pretty. There's a lot of deciding
I have
factors.
nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Which one you want to do? We can do offense.
Or do you just want to do the quarterback topic and do
let's
scout
do
meeting a little later?
I'm just enjoying you just spinning. You know what? How about we do it this hour and then do it again the next hour and then do it again the next hour and do it again the next hour?
How about we do
The whole
offense at
thing.
7? We can do the quarterback topic when we come back, and we can scout at 7.
I hate all of you today.
I hate it here.
Man, it's 6:15.
I
Guys.
know.
Sucks.
I'm not here for this.
Okay, it's whatever you tell me to do after the break. Okay.
There's a radio show and things will be said maybe when we come back. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone with Chris Stapleton this morning.
Should we go all Chris Stapleton today?
I'm down for it.
I'm with it.
All right, let's do it.
I'm with it.
Just make sure you can get Traveler in there and Outlaw State of Mind in there somewhere.
When you play Tennessee whiskey, let it linger.
Don't tell me what to do.
I'll tell you exactly what you'll
No,
play.
I'm not going to do it.
Yes, Shave.
No.
Do you want me to read this piece from Aaron Schatz?
You can go ahead.
Well, I mean,
I would like for you to.
okay.
Okay.
Now, I want all Titans fans to make sure you're not in a motorized vehicle where you have the wheel.
Don't be around sharp objects either.
A little bit of length to this, but I'm going to read through it. I know,
Phrasing?
Moan. This dagnabbit crap.
All right, I'm ready
All right.
when you are.
The piece is entitled ESPN Plus, the NFL's worst number one seed since 1983. The Titans make the list, but there are reasons for optimism. It's Aaron Schatz, so it's a Football Outsiders piece. Of course, they and Pro Football Focus both kind of work in concert with ESPN from time to time.
that.
And Schatz used to be employed by ESPN because he used to be on TV on a day-to-day basis, as a matter of fact. Tennessee Titans had some impressive wins this season. They beat their division rivals in Indy twice. They beat the LA Rams handily. They beat the Bills when the Bills were considered the favorite to win the AFC, and they clobbered the Kansas City Chiefs by a final score of 27-3. Titans also had some very unimpressive losses this season. They lost to the Jets and Texans, two teams that each finished 4-13. They lost to New England by 23 and to Arizona by 25. As a result of those losses and a number of very close wins, advanced metrics are down on the Titans going into this year's playoffs. No advanced metric is more down on the Titans than our DVOA ratings. The Titans will go into the playoffs with the worst regular season DVOA rating ever for a number one seed. They're the first team to get a number one seed with a below-average total DVOA based on play-by-play breakdown currently going back to 1983. In fact, Titans do not have the lowest regular season DVOA for any number one seed alone. They even have a lower DVOA than any number two seed. No team has ever won the Super Bowl after putting up a negative DVOA during the regular season. Only two teams have even made it to the Super Bowl after a negative regular season, the 2003 Panthers and the 2008 Cardinals. For the Titans to win the Super Bowl would be an unprecedented achievement. That right there, I want to stop for a second and just say, mark that sentence down. For the Titans to win the Super Bowl would be an unprecedented achievement.
Wow.
Remember, I told you, if the Titans win, change the Football Outsiders banner to two-tone blue because they've broken analytics.
Yep.
They've broken the numbers. DVOA is not the only advanced metric that has the Titans very low for a number one seed. ESPN's FPI, the all-powerful Football Power Index, entered the playoffs with Tennessee ranked 13th, just 1.6 points better than an average NFL team. This is by far the lowest rating for a number one seed in FPI, which goes back to 2008. Previously, the worst number one seed had been the 2010 Falcons, who rated as 4.1 points above an average team. Now it gets nerdy. In Pythagorean winning percentage, based solely on points scored and allowed,
What are we talking about?
only one other number one seed since 1983 comes out lower than the 21 Titans. The Titans project with 10.3 Pythagorean wins, a 603 winning percentage. The 85 Raiders, the only number one seed to finish lower, they projected with 9.3, a 584 winning percentage. The 86 Browns and 2015 Broncos also have fewer Pythagorean wins than the Titans, but a higher projected winning percentage because they played 16-game seasons. And now we get past the nerdy stuff to the stuff that's actually more interesting. Reasons for optimism. There are a couple of reasons for Titans fans to have optimism despite the poor regular season metrics. First is the value of the bye week. It truly matters. The Titans get a week of rest while every other team in the AFC had to play. You may notice that only one of the 10 teams listed on the table above, I won't read the table to you, lost in the divisional round. They're bye week guys. We estimate that the bye week improves the number one seed's chances to win in the divisional round by 9%, separate from the value of home field advantage. Second, the Titans got a very favorable draw. Cincinnati, their first opponent, is by far the lowest of the other three remaining AFC teams, according to advanced metrics. Bengals finished the year 17th in DVOA compared to second for Buffalo and 7th for Kansas City. Difference even more stark in ESPN's FPI, with Buffalo and Kansas City finishing the season first and third and Cincinnati 15th, 2 spots below the Titans. The Bills and Chiefs will now face off in a battle of heavyweights, while the rested Titans get the weaker but still dangerous Bengals. The other reason for Titans fans to have optimism is the importance of the words regular season when we say that the Titans had the worst regular season rating ever for a number one seed. The Titans won the AFC South and the number one seed this year despite a lot of injuries. They lost Derrick Henry for half the season. They played a number of games without either of their top two receivers, veterans AJ and Julio. They've had a number of offensive line and defensive injuries as well. The Titans will be a lot healthier in the playoffs than they were in most of their losses this season. Now's where you're going to see red. Now, the Titans' injury issues this year may be a bit overstated. You've probably seen by now the stat that the Titans used 91 different active players this season, more than any other team in the NFL. That's true, but it's not all because of injuries. General Manager John Robinson is very aggressive, swapping bottom-of-the-roster players for specific matchup reasons, and not all injuries are created equal. There are injuries to important players and injuries to replacement players. According to weighted approximate value lost to injuries in the 2021 season, tracked by the site Man Games Lost, the Titans ranked only 18th in the impact of their injuries this year. A number of other playoff teams saw a higher impact from injuries, including fellow division champions Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Dallas. Can we try to approximate how good the Titans would have been this season without their most important injuries? And then it goes further and further and further, and then talks about how the Titans could have a good argument for removing the week one loss to Arizona, which was 4 months ago. If you add Brown and Jones, the DVOA number shoots up quite a bit more, which ends up making them third in the NFL behind Tampa Bay and Green Bay if you take the Arizona loss out of that. And then he says, how we change which games matter for rating the Titans has a significant effect on what we think Tennessee's chances for victory are. If we use the Brown-Jones rating for the Titans, our estimate of their chances of winning in the divisional round goes up 10%. Use the Brown-Jones rating without week one, our estimate goes up 14%.
And you wonder why kids hate going to school, Ramon.
So while the Titans are the worst regular season team to earn a number one seed, they aren't really the worst number one seed as currently constituted. And while they shouldn't be considered the AFC favorites, their mediocre regular season does not mean they don't have a chance to hoist the Lombardi Trophy at the end of the postseason. Earning the number one seed despite all those injuries was certainly an accomplishment, and it's an accomplishment that significantly helps bring the Titans closer to their ultimate goal, a championship. Can I ask you a question, Mo?
Yeah, I'm listening.
How the do you have a mediocre regular season if you're the top seed in the AFC? How do you write that sentence and not realize what you're saying? You can say they shouldn't be considered the favorites because you think the Bills and Chiefs are better teams. If you want to say that, I'll listen to that argument. But when you say they're mediocre regular season, by what? Your numbers?
Oh, no.
They're 12-5.
The other teams
They have the best ranking in the AFC. So this is a very, very – I only read about half of it. Article.
Wait, what?
I only read about
That's
half
only
of it.
half of it?
I stopped.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not reading
Oh,
any more of some of this
God.
stuff.
You got me at the Brown Jones. I'm a bit real.
He makes the argument that the injuries, 17th in injuries because of this other website or whatever, and saying, look, the three best players on the defense played the entire schedule. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, top 12 defenders, as one example. Blah, 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 blah.
Thank you, because that's all I heard while you were reading that was.
The Brown
Let me
Jones.
give you the Brown Jones argument real
I
quick.
for real got tears coming down. Yeah, that's some turd stuff right
Isolating which games matter. Let's see, he talks about defense and isolating games and guys that were there and guys that weren't there.
Yeah.
Rashawn and Jayon and Fulton and T.R. Tart and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Then he gets to this. Isolating which games matter on offense is another story. We could look at the Titans' offense solely before Henry broke his foot, but as Bill Barnwell pointed out last week, the Titans have roughly gotten the same performance out of Deontay Foreman in the second half of the season they got out of Henry in the first half. The same can't be said for the backup receivers who had to replace veterans Brown and Jones. The embarrassing early season loss to the Jets came with Brown and Jones out. The huge Week 12 loss to the Patriots came with Brown and Jones out. Brown played in the Week 11 loss to Houston, but left early with a chest injury that cost him the next 3 games. The problem with trusting the numbers when Brown and Jones were available is that you're looking at a sample size of just half a season, most of which came over 2 months ago. Nonetheless, replace Tennessee's actual offensive DVOA number with the rating when both Browns and Jones were available, and now the Titans are no longer the worst number 1 seed ever. They're still among the worst number 1 seeds, but they would be near the bottom of that table above, not near the top. And then it shows the DVOA based on who was active in terms of receivers. DVOA for Titans games that were played this year is a negative 4.2, which is 20th. If just AJ's available, the negative 4.2 becomes plus 2.6, and they go up to 16th. Brown and Jones available puts them 8th in DVOA with a 10.7%. So all of this to say, numbers don't mean squat. These analytics are great. They sound great. They got all these tables and all this other kind of stuff. The only thing that matters is 60 minutes and who has more than the other team on the scoreboard at the end of it. But all of this is just like, there are times when I look at a lot of this stuff and I say to myself, I think we're overthinking some stuff here. Yeah. I know what DVOA is. We had Tanier tell us on Monday. Mm-hmm. It's the stat everybody uses because it looks at every play individually against an average team in a situation. But where you lose me is mediocre season at 12-5. And, the injuries, it's not all injuries. That's a little overstated. No, it's really not. It's really, really not.
But you know what? They're saying they don't matter, but they're not also looking at the fact that you had Hollywood Cole come in and make big plays. You have a young rookie in there that's making big plays for you also. You had more injuries. You had injuries with Taylor Lewan and Roger Saffold out, and you had a young rookie left tackle go in and beat a premier team as the San Francisco 49ers. Like, where is that? That's where it kind of loses me a little bit, because it seems to me is the DVOA is only about finding a chink in your armor to justify whether you win or lose. It's not necessarily how you overcome anything. It's about the deficits that you have on your team, or one bad play, minus 2 yards doesn't seem like it means more to them than actually the next play getting 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, I don't know, it's weird to me. Like, I get it now after hearing Tanier kind of break it down a little bit, but that's not the game. It's part of it and what they're trying to bring to paper, but it's not the game.
No. I mean, he talks about another thing that he goes into in this is about how most of the injuries didn't overlap. On defense, for example, he'd be like, one guy would go out, another guy would come back. You had one game where you were dealing with the most injuries to Titans defenders, and it was Week 8 against the Colts.
Okay.
Because you had Rashawn and Jayon out. Christian Fulton and Tier Tart were all out. They won that game, 34-31, of course, and Colts turned it over 3 times. But they look at all of that, and then they talk about this. A couple of playoff teams have been particularly healthy, Buffalo and Cincinnati among them. And that's true. They have been. Remember what Rocky Boyman told us yesterday.
Sure did.
They've been healthy. Ravens were brutalized.
Oh.
Steelers dealt with some. The Browns, obviously.
Browns, definitely.
Their quarterback was banged up for half the year, and they had a lot of other issues. So you look at all of that, and now the Bengals are coming in not healthy. Mm-hmm. They've lost a few guys. I think Hendrickson plays, but they're not as healthy as they're used to being going into this game. And that, to me, is where, and I said this yesterday, that, to me, is where the bye week is such an advantage. Because it's just one less game. It's one less drive you had to make on the old car.
Yeah. One less potential situation for injury. Like, no matter you're practicing, like, all of those things friggin' matter, dog.
Those are always physical games, and
because it's win or go home.
Right.
Like, guys really, you live by that in the playoffs, man. So if I can get you out of this game and help us win, you're gonna leave, sir.
But yeah, absolutely. So when I read all of this, and like I said, I read maybe a half of it.
Dang.
It's a lot of words written by the guy that's in charge of Football Outsiders.
Yeah.
And what it really is like, what it's really basically trying to say is, look, don't blame me. My numbers are right, but I don't understand the Titans. It's like he doesn't know how to deal with this. And that's why I keep saying the Titans are the team that breaks analytics, because all these advanced metrics and numbers and Pythagorean wins and all of this crap is just that when the Titans go out there and stomp teams into the ground and outperform them, which is why especially these people should all be voting for Mike Vrabel for Coach of the Year, because they can't even understand how the Titans are doing what they're doing from their 1,000-foot view.
No lie. This is pretty much the same conversation I had in a group chat yesterday about the Titans. I had a buddy of mine who's a fan of another team. He's just like, and I'm telling them the same stuff that you're saying to me right now. He was just like, oh, man, big homie, this is what happens when your job make you a fan of the team you never played for. And I was just like, look, no, you're missing the point. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not that I'm a fan of the team I'm covering now. It's like, yeah, I cover them. I do enjoy covering, but you can't take away from the fact of what they done.
Mm-mm.
I was like, this team right here, and I started naming off teams. They had this situation. They had this situation. It was like the Titans had these too, and they still had wins. It was like, you hate them if you want to. Yeah, they lost to the Jets. Yeah, they lost to the Texans. I was like, but
there's no team in the league that doesn't have a bad
was bulletproof.
Loss.
Right.
No team. The Bills lost to the Jags.
That's what
Bills
I'm
lost to Urban Meyer.
Let's talk about Tampa losing to friggin' Washington.
Right. Well, I mean, there've been bad losses across this league all year.
I was like,
long.
You can't fault them for being the number one seed. I was like, they earned it. And it wasn't a heated conversation. It was just like, wow, I see what other fan bases see about this team. And I was just like, you can't knock them. I was like, and it was me and another friend of mine like telling them, you say what you want to, but you got to respect what they actually have done. Even with Miami coming here, and we know Miami was a little bit of fluff, but with the teams that they beat on that 7-game win streak, but that does a lot for a team as far as momentum goes when you got to play them still. Like, man, that's 7 wins. I'm going to be real, that's kind of intimidating. Like, man, they can get you if they can, and the Titans knocked them off. And on top of that, the coach got fired. Cully got fired. Friggin', you broke Carson Wentz again. Like, there was another – what else happened in this season that Cully got fired, Flores got fired, Ryan Tannehill got outed again. Who else did you play that pretty much got put on the back burner because of the Titans? Who else was out there? Russ was done after that. I mean, you broke – there's numerous situations here. It was just like, well, you just got to tip your hat and move forward about the Titans.
Again, look. The analytics aren't being skewed against the Titans. The numbers just, the way that their formulas are set up, what they value, the Titans just don't make sense to them because they're just putting stuff into a spreadsheet. There's no bias involved in it, which I don't know what it means. I mean, DVOA is what's used by virtually every rating system. It's now regarded as much more accurate than passer rating or QBR or a lot of those stats and things of that nature. So it's important inside the bubble of football and certainly inside the analytics bubble. But it doesn't really matter. And I think it's almost kind of funny that the Titans keep on, like, I can just see people sitting at desks trying to understand it, just throwing their pencils around, throwing their laptops around because I don't know what this is. I don't understand any of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, they keep winning football games. It's real simple.
We got somebody in the chat saying, well, since he didn't lose to the Jets and the Texans, well, since he also lost to the Jets and the Bears.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and the Browns. I don't care if it was week 17. You still took that L.
And yeah, you can talk about bad losses all you want, but who cares? They're 12-5.
And I'm not.
They had less total losses than everybody else in the AFC.
This is just pure black and white here.
I like. I love getting in the weeds sometimes, looking at some of these numbers too, but a lot of it, then my eyes roll back in my head like in The Undertaker in 1994.
That's who it was.
What?
Urban got fired.
Oh, yeah, of course. That was too easy. I figured it was already baked into the cake. 615-737-1045. John in the borough, Eric in Nashville, all of this stuff. We will get to you. We're going to scout the Cincinnati Bengals offense at the top of next hour. Or defense, whatever it is, Moan starts talking.
Yeah, I'm not going
to get back.
I'll be real. This is a good breakdown right here this time around.
As opposed to it not being good the other time around.
I'm gonna be real. It's playoff ball, Shafe.
Dude, that's just like that's just gonna be like that's like when people are like, "Hey, can I be honest for a minute?" Like, well, why have I been listening to you for the last hour?
You really think I be listening to you? I ain't listening to you.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Excellent. Thanks for that.
What you been doing then?
Appreciate it. Appreciate you lying to me for the
It's like when
last
people
day
say,
and a half.
Honestly, it's
Yeah.
like, what, were you lying
That's
before?
what I'm saying.
It's just emphasis on the
Like when you're
time.
like, I'm going to be real with you. Be like, yeah, because it's been fictitious.
See,
Moan's been a Pixar movie right up until now. Where he's
Okay.
like, I'm going to be real with you now.
Hate it
It's
here.
been a trend on this show. It's been a friggin' trend on this show every Wednesday. By the end of this show, we need the man they call Inky, man. RJ and Phoenix, I'm with you today. We need some ink in our life, okay?
That was a laugh from an analytics nerd. I mean, it legitimately was. Both of them were, weren't they? Those are both 10-year laughs. We'll be right back. It's JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
We're on to the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is celebrating with a huge odds boost for new customers. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, you can get 56-1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Not a new customer? No problem. You can still get in on the action of the divisional round with same game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. And best thing about it, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want it. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the promo code WGFX and get 56-1 odds on any NFL team remaining. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. But you got to use the promo code WGFX for 56-1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And you must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
You really think I'll be listening to you? I ain't listening to you.
Buying a home is a big, big decision. It can be easy to get overwhelmed, not know where you should start, but luckily you aren't alone. Most of us are in that boat. Talking with a mortgage expert can help you get on the right track. It can help you understand your process, and they help make a plan that utilizes your best options. And how about this? At Mortgage Investors Group, they do some really, really cool stuff, but this one really kind of made me stop and take note. Veterans that have sacrificed for our peace and our comfort and our happiness and our dreams in this country, Mortgage Investors Group is committed to making their dreams possible as well and hopefully making them a little easier. MIG is waiving all lender fees for VA home loans. That saves vets about $1,000, maybe sometimes somewhere around $1,125 in value, and making home ownership dreams for veterans even more achievable. As a Southeast lending mortgage lender, Mortgage Investors Group is here to help you get not just any loan, but the right home loan. That's why they're number one. Their team of mortgage experts really cares. That's why I've been talking about them and representing them now since the very first day of this show. They're committed to helping you close on time, structuring things properly, realizing all of those dreams. So, yeah, it's a big decision, but the right decision to make that big decision just more in your lane, is to call Mortgage Investors Group. Let them work for you. Go to migonline.com. That's migonline.com to find the office nearest to you and get all the advice you need to get you started and off on the right track. Or text MIG to 31399. That's MIG to 31399 to get pre-qualified. Mortgage Investors Group, the right home loan. Equal housing lender, license number 109111. That's right. That's Outlaw State of Mind. Said you weren't going to do it and came right back with it.
It says midnight train to Memphis.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's Midnight Train to Memphis. You're right. I like this one, too, though.
That is a demerit.
You will play Outlaw State of Mind.
Not if you're going to threaten me.
Is your sound
What's
on?
going on my laptop right now?
Mute, please.
That is a demerit.
Just give me a third one.
I'm going to give myself one for
That is
prior
demerit.
to the break.
Nobody wanted to hear that live. Nobody was paying attention to it. John in the borough. John, what's up?
What's up, John?
What's up, guys? Y'all, it's way too early for all that math. All
Yeah.
right, like I've not had any coffee yet. All right, the only math that matters is that the Titans are 12-5.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's got how many rushing yards a game, whose defense. Like none of that matters. The Titans have defied expectations from the media, not from us. As JMart put it, we expected them to be in the Super Bowl this season. But from the national media, we've defied expectations all season long. So why does it surprise us that a bunch of football nerds went and created an Excel sheet that doesn't matter, has no bearing on the actual game? Ramon, when you win a game, does it matter if you win by 1 or 100?
W's and L's, baby. That's it.
That's it. Have a good day, guys.
Yep.
They didn't create a spreadsheet to make their point. That's just their numbers come out the way that they come out. Luckily, those numbers aren't the ones that matter. And like I said yesterday, Variable will take a 1-point win Saturday, next Sunday, and in the Super Bowl. He'll take 3 of them. The worst number one seeds by DVOA, by the way, one table that's in this piece. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of them won the Super Bowl. Every other one lost in the playoffs.
What was the one?
2015 Broncos with the defense.
There it is. The defense was monstrous, man.
Oh, yeah, it was all-time great.
I saw it firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Let's go to Chris. Chris, what's up?
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Chris.
I'm usually a pretty, quiet listener. That's just kind of the person I am. But if crap like this keeps on coming out, I might have to be a little bit more vocal because I was in the middle of doing some work in my car, and that just completely stopped my train of thought. I got 3 things to say. Number one, the Tennessee Titans kind of need that kind of a viewpoint on them. It seems like when they're doubted, obviously we talk about this all the time, they seem to excel, and then they seem to, when it feels like they should win the game, then they might have a little bit of trouble. And then number 2, if they are the most, surprising team to have a regular season record like this, then why can't they be the most surprising team to win the Super Bowl? Like, you can have the same, if they're the first team with bad DVOA or this whatever to have such a good regular season, then they can be the first team with bad DVOA or whatever to win the Super Bowl. And then the third thing is that if they keep on having this kind of a situation, those metrics don't take into account physicality. So you mentioned the Broncos that year. They had the physicality aspect with the defense that you just can't put on a metric. Titans have a lot of physicality. I appreciate you guys for taking my call.
Sure. Choose a little violence, Chris. Every once in a while, you need to just show people, okay? That's all I got for you.
Eric in Nashville. The topic is dumb analytics. Eric, what's up?
Well, I woke up in a good mood. I'm still in a good mood, but I'm definitely choosing violence. So here's the thing. The previous caller said it. Analytics are good for some things, I guess, for people who probably never played football and just want to act like they're important. Analytics don't take in heart, desire, passion, talent, effort, any of those things. And I tell you what, if 12-5 is mediocre, bring me more mediocrity because I sat through 2 and 3 win seasons with this franchise. So, hey, you know what? The Braves weren't analytically the favorite to win the World Series either, and see what happened there. So, as far as analytics go, they can analytic my backside. Go Titans, guys.
Listen to Eric. He did say, I'm going to choose violence. He did say that, Jay. We can't say we're surprised.
Hey.
He told us, and then he delivered on his promise.
So there's a second Eric in Nashville, maybe the Eric in Nashville. We'll get to him after the headlines, and then we're going to scout the Bengals offense, possibly, although the phone lines keep ringing. We're definitely going to do it today. But as I expected, I knew when I read it, I was like, all right, it literally posted at 6 a.m. Central Time this morning. So it was like, hey, I know you guys are starting your show. I'm going to go ahead and give you something to turn me into a villain. You know who loves DVOA and talks about it all the time?
Talk to me.
Robert Mays.
Oh.
You know who's on the show today?
Ooh.
Robert Mays. You know who's on the show in 25 minutes?
Talk to me.
Nate Washington. We'll be right back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Ooh.
Hey, it's JMart. Next time you're at home, are you noticing your concrete might be sinking outside your house? You got cracks in your bricks, doors and windows sticking, chimneys leaning, basement wall bowing. All of these are signs of a possible foundation issue with your home. When it comes to foundation repair, nobody does it better than my friends at United Structural Systems, doing it since '94 in our community. locally owned, not a franchise. Better Business Bureau gives them the A+ rating. But them being right here in our backyard means they customize the solutions for everybody they serve. That means for you and your family, depending on your needs. United Structural Systems comes out, give you a detailed free estimate before you ever have to make a decision. As always, everything they do, you don't pay until that work is fully done, so that you'll see the finished product before you have to open your wallet at all. So they're going to make sure you're happy first. Over 20,000 satisfied customers and counting can tell you it's a really smart phone call to place. You can feel good about it. Call United Structural Systems today. These problems don't go away. They can be costly, but they can be much, much, much more costly down the road. 615-227-2275. That's 227-2275 or online at USSTN.com. United Structural Systems.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. 24th ranked Tennessee scored the final 8 points of the game to defeat Vanderbilt 68-60 Tuesday night at Memorial Gym in men's college basketball action. It is the Vols' 9th straight win in the series. Also, Tennessee has won 11 of its last 12, including 6 straight at Vanderbilt. Santiago Vescovi led the Vols with 14 points for Vandy. Scottie Pippen Jr. led the Doors with a game-high 18. Vancouver defeated Nashville 3-1 last night at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds have lost 4 in a row after going 12-1-1 in their previous 14 games. And the Memphis Grizzlies are at the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks tonight. The Grizz have won 12 of their last 13. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? Hour number 3, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Nate Washington will join us in the next segment. He'll be able to watch this game and cheer for the Titans. He didn't have to watch it by himself like Titans Steelers when we had him on earlier this season.
He fought the good fight back then, man.
That's right. We're on Twitter at JMart and Ramon, 11-year NFL veteran involved for life. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, and Jason Martin. If anything we've ever accomplished on this show, just leading to the coining of the term "Anna lick my backside."
That was cold-blooded, Eric.
We have succeeded. That one's gonna stick. That could be a chant on Saturday at Nissan. I saw that pop up in the chat. Not disagreeing.
Somebody tweeted us and said it's hard to make them laugh in the morning, but that
was pretty funny. I wasn't expecting that one. Let's go to Eric in Nashville, the other Eric in Nashville. Eric, what's up?
What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's going on? You ought to use that to start a fire or something like it, to start a campfire, that ESPN report.
Yeah.
Guys, I tell you what, I guess they're going to probably, if you read down further, they're probably going to use it. They're going to probably say, well, Mike Vrabel, because that doesn't deserve to be Coach of the Year, which he does. I mean, that stuff is just a bunch of hooey. I tell you what, we don't fit the boxes. We don't fit the narrative. I'm so sick of hearing that, guys. I mean, the problem is, the bottom line is the Titans win. That's the bottom line. They win. They do what it takes to win. I just would love it if somebody would just read that report to them and would just fire them up more. I mean, I just love it. And what I'm about to say, guys, I just want to say, they're not this. Let me get this clear. But they kind of remind me a little bit of the 70 Steelers. Now, they haven't won Super Bowls or anything like that, guys, but just kind of because it reminds me of the Steelers of kind of the 70s mentality of that next man up, blue-collar mentality with all the injuries and all that type of stuff. And, of course, the Cowboys, when they played, were of course, a glamorous team, and I'm being honest, I was a Cowboys fan. But that's what I like about this team. Of course, I want them to win the Super Bowl. They're not that team. But, of course, you have the guys that just the lunch pail mentality, blue collar, all that stuff. So I just want to get this clear. They are not them. They're not the team that won 4 Super Bowls, but they kind of remind me of that team, guys. And I'm just confident, guys. Saturday, it's firing me up, guys. I just wish the game was today, guys. But y'all take care and have a good day now.
Me too. I'm looking forward to being there on Saturday.
How many more sleeps, Jay?
Yeah, I know. It's 3 more sleeps.
3 more sleeps.
They can Anna lick my backside.
Yeah, just make sure that's on the hotkey page.
They can Anna lick my backside.
By the way, I'm looking forward to Aaron Schatz's piece after the Titans win the Super Bowl, where he's just like, I got nothing. Football Outsiders has been great over the last 21 years. Yeah. We're closing up shop. Sam Monson is now – well, no, he works at Pro Football Focus. Yeah. He's never going to be unemployed. Yeah. They'll just end up putting him on NBC if they have to.
That was good.
It was a good line. I'm very disappointed I did not come up with it.
And we put Sam on instead of Chris Collinsworth's kid?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Sam's also a child. Pretty sure Jack, without a K, Collinsworth is taller than Sam Monson.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, what is it about missing consonants with these two dudes? Chris, no H. Jack, no K. What's next? Ham, no burger? Peanut butter, no jelly?
Kool-Aid, no sugar. Ain't never got 2 letters that
Kool-Aid, no pickles.
Kool-Aid, no pickles.
Like, we don't need jailhouse consonants. We got free consonants. You can use as many as you want, man.
You know there's a K in Jack, right?
It's supposed to be.
I think
Maybe that's why you're terrible at your job.
JAC is Jock to me. I'm gonna be real with you. I got some homeboys, Jock. JAC.
Yeah, I know. Like Jock Peterson with the
You
Braves.
see what I'm saying?
Cuzzo Bam. What's up, Bam?
Yo, what's good, man?
Hey,
What's up, Bam?
Man, why is everybody choosing violence against the Titans? Like,
It's
what
Wednesday.
is it? Like, just say you don't like us. Just say you're scared of us. I mean, like for real. But you know what, Vrabel, I very seriously doubt they read this stuff. Maybe they do, but I think they use it as fuel to keep saying this is more reason why we prove them wrong and we play for us.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys play for themselves. They don't play for analytics. The Titans are like real life bullies out here. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, hey, we coming to take your lunch and we gonna prove the NFL wrong. This is like mind blowing to me. Like I just want to be like, are y'all tweaking? Are y'all watching the same games we watching? How do you have all these analytics? I'm sorry, I had to catch myself. How do you have all these analytics and y'all just sit up here? You're watching us demolish the teams that you're glorifying. Like, just say you don't like us. Just say you're scared of us.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate that more. All I'm saying, Saturday, it's on. Yeah, we're gonna take them analytics and we're gonna give them some more analytics. And then see a new article come out this week about how this is gonna be the worst team in the AFC Championship and going to the Super Bowl. Man, tell them to stop tweaking, Shafe. I'm out, man. Tighten up, man.
So here's the thing. The one thing I will say about this is it's not that they don't like you. Their numbers don't like you.
Oh.
Because that's all they do is crunch numbers. They're not putting together their own thought processes
Right.
here. Everything's coming through DVOA and DYAR and all their advanced analytics stats and stuff, which are now being used by a lot of brain trusts in the NFL to make personnel decisions. And it's why you have Brandon Staley making weird choices on 4th down. And, all these things come down to all this. It becomes an analytics versus eye test and all this. But it's not that they don't like you. It's that their numbers just
Don't justify.
it doesn't add up to them because they have to say, here's what the numbers are saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the only one that matters is 12-5. That's where you find yourself.
Yeah. We had somebody in the chat say something. And it really resonated with me. And Deborah said, she was like, respect will come with the trophy.
Agreed.
Now,
But it won't with the numbers.
It won't with the numbers, no. And that right there, I think, is the biggest point to be made, man. Like, there was guys, dog, that before I got to Pittsburgh, they won the Super Bowl. And in that, the next year was some guys that were still on the team. I was like, golly, how did he make the team? Or it was some guys that I beat out that was on that Super Bowl team to make the roster, okay? The infamous story, them cutting the guy, me working out in the weight room, he was the guy they cut for me, okay? And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I didn't think he was that good in camp, but you know what I had to say to myself? He got a ring.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I had. He got a ring, Jay. As much as I played and all those things that back up everything that people look for, you gotta. That's what brings the respect to you. One thing we'll say about Melo and Westbrook is what? They're great. What are they searching for right now in LA? A ring. Like that's the one thing that Shaq and Charles go about, like they go at each other about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Charles is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest ever
but
do
it is the one thing
It's
that
the one
it's
thing.
the one thing where you can always get under his skin
Yeah.
because everybody else on that set has a ring and he doesn't.
Yeah.
And Kenny made the big 3 that sent it to overtime, and Barkley couldn't beat Jordan.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we can talk all the crap we want to. I can about Tim Tebow at Florida. You know what? They got a ring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's where it comes to when it comes down to, okay, like the respect person to person is one thing. We're talking about a team. We're talking about, being in the show, like, or getting your just due. I ain't saying it's got to happen this year. You'd love it if it did happen this year. But it's one of those situations, get a trophy. You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think even the Lamar Hunt AFC trophy, grab that one to go to the show in this era. That's the biggest point of it all right there. Get a trophy. And I never got one, but I played with an organization that did, so that respect factor is always there. The Cowboys, heck, they still got their Super Bowl pictures on the floppy disk.
Right.
But you feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we've said it before. There's nobody in the NFL that is playing or not playing.
Yeah.
That doesn't know Tennessee's really good.
They do.
And doesn't fear them and doesn't know you better pack a lunch to beat that team.
Facts.
Like, all of this stuff. Look, we read this because they're writing about your football team.
Yo.
Right?
Oh.
They're writing about your football team. Maybe it becomes a talking point. I don't know, meaning on television or whatever like that. They're talking about your football team. It's relevant to that. But keep in mind, the Bengals know Tennessee's really good.
Yeah.
They know the challenge that awaits them. Buffalo and Kansas City know it firsthand because they both got beat earlier this year by this football team. And it was in this building both times, and that's where they both, whichever one wins on Sunday, they're going to have to come here. Green Bay knows they're good. San Francisco knows they're good. They beat San Francisco this year already. The Rams definitely know they're good because they went to their house and beat the brakes off of them right after Derrick Henry got injured.
Yep.
And Tom Brady is smart enough to know, Mike Vrabel's team. You know the last time he saw Mike Vrabel?
Who?
That was the last game he played with New England in a playoff game when Vrabel knocked him out.
See what I'm saying?
And then he went to Tampa Bay. He became retired and went down to Del Boca Vista.
Oh.
When we come back, Nate Washington. He doesn't talk analytics. He talks football. We'll do that next. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Taking and a lick my backside.
Hey, if you're a business manager or a facility manager, an owner, it is super important to ensure your facility is ready to increase capacity. You need to assess all your equipment and systems, evaluate your indoor air quality, outline all your new cleaning procedures, and see if touchless plumbing, touchless electrical fixtures, all the touchless technology is right for what you're doing. And that's a lot of extra stuff. But you don't have to do it alone. Lee Company has experts. They can help you with it. They've been in the facility management and maintenance business for decades. Put their facility management expertise to work for you. You'll be glad you did. You'll feel real comfortable, real confident. You'll have the insurance that you need when you reopen those doors to keep them open and for people to feel safe and welcomed when they come back. Call Lee Company today, 615-567-1000. That's 615-567-1000, or contact them online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. Welcome back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Jason Martin. This is not Outlaw State of Mind.
Come on, Shafe. Yeah. Come on, man.
This is the opposite of analytics.
Come on, dog.
Okay, Moan's happy enough. Turn it off.
One more.
Enough.
Real quick, Shay. Just let it roll.
That's enough.
Roll. And now
Fun fact, not my favorite Chris Stapleton song. I like it, but
Turn it
I
up
like
some
some
more.
others a lot more. Turn it off.
Just real quick. Hold up.
All right, I don't like Steelers smiles. This is not okay.
Come on, y'all. We vibing.
Okay, AJ.
It's strawberry wine.
Come vibe with me, bro.
Yeah.
Name of that song is what, Ramon?
Tennessee whiskey, baby. You come over to the back porch, get you some.
Phrasing?
Yeah,
I thought that was legit, Shafe. Consider we've shared a couple drinks before, man.
Yeah, but it's show hours right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. It's after hours. That was good. That was a cool little reset right there. Woosa. I feel good now. I'm be real. Hearing that song, I feel good.
Look, man, one thing you learn after you do this long enough is you don't have to fill all the open space of a radio show with words. I think we should just sit here for 10 minutes and try that out.
We should replay that.
We are efforting Nate Washington.
Taking Anna lick my backside.
Yeah. And we're back.
If we want to, we can go into the defensive side of things. Or either side you want to. What side we want to do?
Hey, now would be the perfect time to do.
Now would be the perfect time too. Who we want to go, O or D?
Well, I mean, we usually do O first.
Okay, let's do O. He said he's here. Nate's ready. Oh, he's calling in?
Is Nate calling on line one? Or is that Chris Stapleton?
I hope it's him. Waiting on Nate. It's all good.
All right. We're trying him again.
So,
It
yeah.
gets early on these shows.
You said sometimes we don't have to just talk right there. Just let it breathe.
Yeah.
That Chris Stapleton was.
I said, I like it. It's not my favorite one, though, because it puts me to sleep.
It's not your favorite one?
I like some others more. Like, I never turn that song off when I hear it, but, like, if I'm going to hear Stapleton, I usually want to hear something a little bit faster paced, unless I'm on a dance floor or something like that. Like, it depends on the moment. Like, to me, that's a song you got to be in the proper mood for. There's some other ones that I go to more. Oh, we got Nate. Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline. Our pal Nate Washington on the line. Nate, what's going on this morning?
Morning, fellas. How y'all doing?
We're doing well. So this one you're going to be able to watch Saturday without, having to be in a room by yourself because it's not Steelers Titans. It's Titans Bengals. And somebody that played for the Steelers organization and being around Ramon Foster this year, I'm sure that you're fine watching Cincinnati get the brakes beaten off them if indeed that's what happens.
I have absolutely no problem with that at all. For sure. I definitely don't have a problem sitting there watching the striped Cats get beat on. So definitely, I can't wait for my Titans to do what they're supposed to do.
So how do you look at this matchup? The Titans are the number one seed. We ran through this bunch of analytics nonsense in the first hour that the Titans are breaking analytics all over the place. The stats hate them, but they're 12-5. And the guy that wrote the piece that's the head of Football Outsider said it's a mediocre season for him. I'm like, I don't know how it's mediocre if you're 12-5. I don't care what the numbers say. So what are you looking at right now with 3 sleeps to go before this game?
Numbers actually don't matter in this situation, as you stated. The analytics definitely don't imply what this Titans team has been able to do this year. It's very reminiscent, if I'm honest, of my 2005 year with the Steelers when we went to the Super Bowl. We were the 6th seed. We were the last seed in the playoffs. A lot of people were telling us we weren't supposed to be there. Every single playoff game was on the road. We struggled to get into playoffs. I think we had to win our last 4 to make it into playoffs. So just the whole perception of us, not being adequate enough to be in that moment was always there. And it's kind of similar with the Titans right now. No matter how much they've been through, no matter how much they've accomplished this year, no matter how many tests they've accomplished, they are still nationally questioned because of people really don't know. Watching the Titans game, I'm pretty sure a lot of people have not done. And to see them perform the way that they do with such names that may not be recognized, like a Westbrook Akina, or these guys like Landry coming along and playing such well football this year, I think a lot of people are going to have questions. But at the end of the day, I think it's pretty obvious with Vrabel in this group that they don't care. They're coming to play football. They don't care whether you know their names. They don't care whether you know what they've been able to accomplish this year. They're coming to play football, and they're going to make sure you know it. So that's a good thing about this team. They don't need a lot of recognition. Very blue-collar team that's willing to work through any adversity, and I'm definitely excited to see what they're able to do here in these playoffs because I'm looking forward to them going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to go ahead and put that on the table right now. I think they got some good things going, and they're definitely going to be the underdog on this journey that can do some damage through this playoffs.
Nate, when it comes to that journey, you know what I'm saying, as far as being able to get the Titans got the number 1 bye. Of course, like you said, I think Jay said this morning, they're saying the AFC Championship game is happening in Arrowhead this weekend.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to respect, we had a listener, bring that up, Nate, as far as the respect of, the Titans. When you played for the Titans also, was it always a factor also as far as like you hearing that? Did it matter to y'all here in Nashville about that? Because I'm sure it was a little bit different in Pittsburgh, or was it not?
Definitely very different. Obviously, when I was playing for the Titans, we were kind of struggling. Let's call it that for those 6 years. We were struggling, man. So it was obvious a lot of people were going to be skeptical on what we were able to do with the Titans when I was playing. But at the same time, now there's Nashville is just a different place. It's a place that only a few people know about. For some people, it's middle of the field country. They don't know anything about it, what's there. And for other people, it's euphoria. It's a theme park. They know what Nashville brings. They know what Nashville is. They know what Broadway is all about. They know what the music scene is all about. People know about Nashville, but then the football world is like, okay, well, what is Nashville? But at the end of the day, when you look at this team, like, once again, getting away from the analytics, getting away from the big names, even guys like Derrick Henry, in my opinion,
right?
Him not getting the respect that he deserves, for him not to be deemed right now as the number 1 back in football. I don't care who's hurt. I don't care whose offensive line is going through it. I don't care who has a quarterback that's deemed suitable enough to take the pressure off there. It doesn't matter. Derrick Henry is the number 1 football running back in the National Football League right now. But, it's hard to give him that credit because why? He's in Nashville. So once again, for the people that are there, they're home, for the people, the tourists that come in town and come to Nashville for a reason, they understand that Nashville has some great things in them. But nationally in the football world, Nashville just doesn't get the respect that they deserve. As you stated, Ramon, you leave Pittsburgh, and especially at a period of time, playing for Pittsburgh was the epitome. I can go places, and no matter where I was at, people seen and knew I played for the Steelers. They were going to show incredible love. Whether I was in Cali, Las Vegas, it didn't matter. The Steelers were going to be everywhere. But Nashville just doesn't get that recognition. So I'm excited to see what they're able to do this playoffs in order to leave their stamp, going to the Super Bowl, so people will actually start recognizing that the Titans are actually here to play some good football and leave their mark as well.
Nate, as a player, when you have somebody that comes back that's super important to what you do, that's been out for an extended length of time, I don't know how many examples of that you can find, but like if you're a member of the Titans organization and Derrick's coming back, finally, you haven't seen him since the Braves were still trying to win the World Series, and now he's coming back and he's wearing the Titans uniform. How much mentally, what kind of just boost does that give you as a teammate of his to know that he's on the return and he's going to be there for you again?
It's the very first thing that pops in my head. It's like that last scene of the Titanic when Leonardo was on the door, and he let go and he just sunk down. It's like right before that happens, a tugboat pulls up and everybody just gets saved. You know what I'm saying? Like it just looks bleak and everything is just wrong. Then all of a sudden, this boat just comes up and saves us. That can take us to the promised land. So that's exactly what it is. You hang in there as much as you can without your best player. You do what you can to stay afloat, and you're presented with a pleasant surprise. Here it is, your best player on your team is healthy enough to come back. I remember days of being on rosters with guys like Troy Polamalu or, one of our offensive linemen that I play with, like Michael Roos or, missing a CJ, Chris Johnson, having those key players out that in those moments, you want to go out and you perform well, but obviously, you're handicapped. That you're not going to be able to go be the best version of that offense or defense when you're missing your best player. So obviously, getting Derrick Henry back right now is a lifesaver, man. Obviously they were able to play some good ball, hang in there, but playoff football now is obviously going to change a lot of things, and getting him back is definitely going to boost not only the morale, but the whole scheme of this offense and this team and what they're able to do. They're going to be able to control the time of possession a lot more. They're going to do a lot more things, based off their run game now. And I think, there can't be a guy in that locker room that's not excited about getting Derrick Henry back.
So two guys, one on each team at your position that you know well. What makes A.J. Brown special, and what are you seeing out of JMart Chase that already makes him look special?
Oh, man, A.J. Brown is, if I'm honest, they're very similar to each other. Very physical guys. Obviously, A.J.'s bigger than Chase, but they're still guys that can catch the ball in traffic and do something with it afterwards. As they call it, yards after catch. So they both do a great job at that. Getting the ball into their hands, whether it's a jet sweep reverse, a shallow route, a deep, post or a go route, a back shoulder fade. It doesn't matter. They're able to make plays and take it to the house. I think that's the most thing that sticks out to me about these two that's very, very similar. Getting the ball into their hands is imperative for both of these offenses because they can take a 5-yard pass 70 yards. Both of them have that capability. Obviously, Chase is very physical, but AJ as well. They're able to do those things. I love Chase's route running ability. I think the schematic scheme of their offense allows him to be all over the place, from the slot to the outside, running posts and goals, but he's also can run a 10-yard sit for you and just get you a first down. So their ability to move him around in their offense is definitely benefiting him and Joe Burrow. I'm excited to see what AJ's able to do here in this, playoff game because he's going to have to do a lot more. He can't just play on the outside. The play action, shot right over the middle with a hard post that they love to run. He's going to have to do more. And I think he's capable of more. I think his route tree is really he's just at the brink of understanding what he's capable of doing in the route tree. But obviously they're going to have to get him the ball and get the ball in his hands. So it's going to be interesting. I think both of them are great with the ball in their hands and what they're able to do after the catch. So I'm excited to see how they're able to compete this weekend.
We're joined by Nate Washington this morning. And Nate, 2-time Super Bowl champ that you are, one thing that the Titans have had during the regular season is a little bit of injury. Right now, the Bengals just now are seeing some injuries hit their team in the worst timing. I tell people all the time on that race to the Super Bowl, there's a lot of things that got to go your way. One, it's got to be the team. Two, you got to win. But secondly, the ball truly does have to fall your way sometimes as far as the little bit of luck goes into it. Can you speak about that and what that journey means? It'll be a phantom play out of nowhere, and I'm sure you've had many of those on those 2 runs that you had.
Man, no question about it, Mo. I'll say this. being ready, having a team full of guys that are ready to play at any given moment is imperative, because like you said, they're starting to experience now injuries, and they have to have guys that are willing to play in that moment. A lot of people don't know, my very first catch in the NFL was in the AFC Championship.
Wow.
So, I came from Tiffin University the year prior at an independent, small Tiffin University in Tiffin, Ohio, playing in front of 200 people, and my very first catch in the NFL was in the AFC Championship. That's how it played out to me, because our fourth receiver broke his ankle the very first playoff game. And so that's just how it goes, man. You get guys that are in there that may be young, that may be upcoming, that maybe no one has heard about, and they're going to have to play special teams. They're going to have to make a third down catch that maybe nobody will remember. They're going to have to make a pickup block if he's a running back for that quarterback in the blitz that nobody else may remember as well. And those type of things just constantly happen throughout that journey. You're going to have guys that are superstars that are going to come in and make impactful plays, but then you're going to have guys that are going to have to step in and play some of the most minor roles that you can imagine of, and they may not get any recognition. But in order to win that Super Bowl, as you stated, the ebb and flow of encountering those type of situations are imperative to be able to survive, because they're going to happen. You're going to have guys that are going to be injured. You're going to have guys that are going to be nicked and banged. This is the playoffs, and playing through injury is one of the most common things that you're going to encounter ever. These guys get here, and some of them could barely walk. But I guarantee you, when that coin is flipped and it's time to, put them pads on for game day, they're going to be ready to play, because, as you know, Moan, and as shots in the air, as Joe Thomas knows as well, you don't get many tries to go to the playoffs. So when you have an opportunity, you're going to play through those things. You're going to give everything you have, because you don't know when your opportunity is going to come back around. So, therefore, you're going to get a lot of guys that are playing through injury, a lot of guys that are not going to be able to be 100%. But in this playoff run, in order to get to that Lombardi, you must give everything you can and must seize every opportunity that you can. So definitely going to have to seize every opportunity for this Bengals here. They're going to try to get to the Super Bowl through injuries.
Yeah, we heard that. We heard that. The car just pulled 5 miles an hour past Joe Thomas's house.
I love it, Nate.
Hell
yeah.
So, all right. So, Nate, who wins the game on Saturday? And how close do you think it is?
Well, here's the thing. If the Titans can stay away from the turnovers, control the time of possession, I'm definitely looking for a clear-cut and decisive win against the Bengals. I know they're explosive on offense. I know what JMart Chase and both Joe Burrow has done, this year. They have had an amazing year. And if I'm honest, the most skeptical thing about this Titans defense from day one has always been the pass defense, the secondary and the pass rush. But watching this team this year, they've been able to get after the quarterback. This secondary with Christian Fulton and what Kevin Byard has been able to do, I'm highly pleasantly surprised. These guys have came along. Christian has gotten healthy. The Jackrabbit is making plays. He's being a reliable veteran. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see Derek obviously come back. So I'm looking forward to the Titans controlling the time of possession, taking the air out the ball, putting the ball on the ground, keeping Joe Burrow in that high explosive offense off the field. And I'm probably looking at a 24-10, 24-14 ball game with the Titans coming out on top, man. I'm definitely looking at them being physical. I will say that obviously everybody is expecting Joe Burrow and that passing game to come in, but definitely going to have to pay attention and be accountable for a Joe Mixon as well. If he's coming in and he gets rolling, that can definitely be a counterpunch that we may not be expecting. But I'm expecting this defense to be ready to play physical football, full 60-minute football, and coming out and be assigned to sound, doing what they must do to contain Joe Burrow and this passing offense, but also still getting after it and making sure that they're physical in the run game. So I'm excited. I think my final answer is going to be 24-14. I guess I'll give them 14, but definitely looking for 24-14 Titans this weekend.
Yeah, there it is.
Good stuff, Nate. We appreciate you making some time, brother. Enjoy the games this weekend. All four games should be really good football games.
They should be.
I can't wait. I would definitely have my popcorn ready.
Nate, I love that drive by on Joe Thomas,
That was
baby.
vicious.
Talking about participation trophies, and he's never even been a participant.
Come on, Mo. You've been watching us. He's been watching us from the crib with his popcorn since he started playing ball.
You know what, Nate?
You know what I'm saying?
He's Hall of Fame and over 10,000 straight snaps, blah, 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 whatever.
Hey, man, listen. Give me my 2 rings better than being the best player on the worst franchise in NFL history.
Man, Nate, he's the thinnest kid at fat camp.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He can have that.
Thank you, Nate. That's Nate Washington.
I'm telling you, hey.
AFC North slander is real.
It's real.
People, real personal, man.
I told you, I try not to go that way.
Dude, you do it all the time. You do not try. You tweet out memes. You take shots.
Dude. Ooh.
Constant.
I got a group of friends just like me waiting.
Here's the thing. We talk about being petty on this show. What people need to realize is the pettiest person is Ramon Foster.
It's Ramon Foster towards the AFC North.
No question.
Specifically.
No question.
And depending on what you do to me, I might get you back. That's just how it goes, Jay.
615-737-1045 is the telephone number. I see a couple of calls jumping in. We will jump to those calls when we come back. We'll scout the offense at 8. We'll scout the defense at 9. We got Robert Mays at 8:20. We got Rhett Bryan coming in the studio. We got Inky Johnson's going to be busy, and we'll get to your calls when we come back here on JMart and Ramon 104.5 The Zone.
Yeah. Baker Birdwell is the disability brokerage financial professionals can count on to deliver disability insurance, education, products, and services. What is your most valuable asset? Most people are going to tell you that, look, it's my house. Think again, it is your income. And it may sound crazy, but let me explain to you. Say you make about $150,000 a year and you're 35 years old. Even if you never get a pay raise, you're going to make about $4.5 million in your working lifetime. And I'm guessing your house is a little bit less than $4.5 million, even in this Nashville housing market. As a former pro athlete, it wasn't a thought about ensuring my income or my career, but the same applies to you as well. Have you considered what would happen if you couldn't continue your career due to health or injury? For 2 or 3% of your income, you can insure your pay up to 60% tax-free. And don't let your next paycheck be your last paycheck. Bad things happen to good people. We've learned that. And Baker Birdwell is the best resource for financial advisors and insurance agents when providing solutions in income protection. They are a trusted friend working with your trusted advisor to make sure that you are properly insured. Think about them. They are local, and they want to see their community win and be protected. So give them a call at 615-309-5958 or visit their website at bakerbirdwell.com.
Outlaw State of Mind from plays at the beginning of a heck of a movie, Hell or High Water. One of the better movies of the last 7-8 years that you probably didn't see. If you haven't, you need to go watch it. Excellent movie. Kind of a modern day Western / bank robbery film. It's awesome. Also reminds me of the text you sent me a few days ago, Shafe, that Justified's coming back. I don't really know why, because it had a good ending and it ran a long time and I loved it. I'll watch it because I love the show, but I don't know that they needed to bring that
It'll be
back.
a different Justified. That's the thing, is that it'll be a
But
different.
Oliphant's back, right?
Yes. What's the point if he's not coming back?
Is Goggins back?
No, because they're taking a different narrative track. Yeah.
I'll watch it. I love Oliphant. That series it holds up really, really well. Not a lot of Blu-ray collections you purchase anymore. I bought that one, though. That one needed to be in the house. Excellent show. So, Nate Washington, if you missed that podcast, this is wherever you get your podcast.
Yeah.
He said 24-14.
Oh.
And that's about where I was at. I had about 11, but I had a higher scoring game, 31-20.
Oh.
It could be playoff points would be 24-14. That would feel more like that.
Yeah.
Analytics are saying what the analytics are saying. So just saw Dominique Foxworth ask which number 1 seed more likely to lose this weekend. And, of course, he did pick the Titans, which I can understand that, especially when you're playing against a 49ers team that's beat down and has Jimmy Garoppolo playing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bengals are better. Right now, somehow they're a little more healthy, and I like their quarterback better. And Green Bay's got Lambeau, and it's a really tough place to play. Plus, they've got Aaron Rodgers, so I can understand that.
I was going to say, they understand playoffs, too. When to be loud, how to be loud, get there early to just dog people out in the stands.
He did make the point, certainly the Titans can come out. He loves their front four.
Mm-hmm.
He suggested that got to be able to win in multiple ways in the playoffs, and he feels like the Titans are too old school and that teams have come back on them too often in the past in the playoffs and in games. All of this is just opinion on all sides, and games will be played, and we'll be able to analyze them and know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
One thing, and Schaefer said this off air yesterday, I just pray there's nothing wonky with the officiating.
Yeah.
For any of these teams. I don't want you to win because of bad officiating. I don't want you to lose because of bad officiating. I mean for all teams. I'm not saying you to any specific team. I don't want that to be the narrative at all. We don't need a Jerome Boger Saturday Raiders Bengals situation. We don't need that. It needs to be determined on the field by the team that establishes themselves stronger. Robert in Nashville. Robert, what's up?
Oh, Brock.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Morning.
Hey, good morning. I'm not sure if you guys have already shared this on the radio or not, but I saw this on social media yesterday. The fact that this is year 2022, Derrick Henry is number 22. It's been 22 years since the Titans have appeared in the Super Bowl, and Saturday is the 22nd. That got to be some type of divine intervention or something. That's all I got, guys.
Look, I didn't know all of those things. I knew a few of those things. Look, it becomes Derrick Henry's day the second he comes back anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions as to how he's going to look and all this kind of stuff. I believe he's going to look great.
I'm riding with
Jeff
that.
Saturday said yesterday he believes he'll get 20 carries max, somewhere in there. That's probably about right. He sees him easing in, not getting a ton early. And I would agree. Look, if you want to beat down a team, let Deontay Foreman run it early and then bring Derrick Henry out, give him more of the usage rate in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
So you ease him in with a few carries in the first half. I don't mean a few, like 2.
Right.
I mean like 7, 8 carries, and then come out in the second half, and then he's the guy, especially in the latter part of the third and fourth quarter. Let him be the guy that comes out, bleed the clock, unless it's a beatdown, at which point you don't need him out there anyway.
Yeah.
But this is a game where hopefully, if there is any rush, you can shake it off relatively quickly with the lead. 615-737-1045. When we come back, we will scout the Cincinnati Bengals offense on Scout Meeting Wednesday, the biggest one of the season so far. Hopefully there'll be another one to scout, even though that's going to be a re-scout. We already scouted the Bills and the Chiefs.
Yeah, different. Yeah, you're right.
Both of them we already scouted. Now there have been some additions to those teams, but this is the This is the big one because we have not seen Cincinnati since last year. But we'll scout them when we come back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. 24th ranked Tennessee scored the final 8 points of the game to defeat Vanderbilt 68-60 Tuesday night at Memorial Gym in men's college basketball action. The Vols' 9th straight win in the series. Also for Tennessee, they've won 11 of the last 12, including 6 straight on the road at Vanderbilt. Santiago Vescovi led the Vols with 14 points for Vandy. Scottie Pippen Jr. led the Doors with a game-high 18 points. To the ice, Vancouver defeated Nashville 3-1 at Bridgestone Arena. The Preds, a bit of a skid right now. They've lost 4 in a row after going 12-1-1 in their previous 14 games. And to the hardwood again, the NBA Grizz, they are taking on the defending champion at Milwaukee Bucks tonight, going to Milwaukee. Grizz have won 12 of the last 13. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once. On your Over the Titans and Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening in hour number 3? JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone, lifted up by All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville, allfourseasonsgarages.com. I hit up the website, was it 2 weeks ago now, right before the first winter storm, and came out and they said, yeah, that thing smoked like a brisket. So we ended up having to put in a lift master. It was a great decision. Yeah. Love how it's running. They got it done same day, like 2 hours. Awesome. And it's a really cheap way to just kind of up the value of your home, do something new for your home, change the lifestyle a little bit. So check them out, allfourseasonsgarages.com. You'll be real shocked at how creative people are becoming with how they're utilizing garage doors and things like that with outdoor living areas, and they can help you in all of those endeavors. We've got Robert Mays of The Athletic joining us in the next segment. I'm gonna say, it's like, so how much do you love the Bills right now? Because I've listened to the podcasts.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to the game on Sunday.
You know it.
And I'm going to say, well, we'll talk a lot about the Titans, obviously. And I'll ask, we'll ask him about whether or not it's fair to just disregard this game as it relates to who's going to the Super Bowl and just to look at that game. I think he will say it is unfair because I think he believes the Titans are better than that. But we understand the marquee matchup. Sunday is in Kansas City, and it doesn't matter because the team that you want on the marquee against one of those teams a week from Sunday is the Tennessee Titans. Mm-hmm. Okay, so scout the Cincinnati Bengals offense.
Here we go. Of course, I've said how the Titans are going to beat them, but of course we got to come back down to reality and let you realize this team is pretty good still. So here we go, 10-7 on the season, and all of their losses this year is what I found out. If they have more than one turnover, they've lost. That's one of the biggest things for this weekend. You got to get the ball out of their hands, either through fumble or through the air. You got to get the ball away from them.
When's the last time they turned the ball over?
Last time they turned the ball over for a loss was it was multiple turnovers also. That was San Francisco, and they had 2 turnovers then. Also lost to the Chargers. They had 4 turnovers that game.
It was like 4 or 5 games, though, right?
Yeah.
Since they've turned the ball over?
It's been 5 games, but they also lost to the Browns with that. Nobody was playing that weekend. Yeah. So the games that they only have 1 or no turnovers, they've won. So here we go. Like I said, they had one turnover versus Las Vegas, Pittsburgh, Ravens, and the Lions, and they won. So that's one of the biggest things. Hadn't had a turnover in the last 5 games, including the playoff. Lost to the Browns, like I said, but nobody was playing. In all the games they've lost, they've turned the ball over multiple times except for Cleveland. So we know it's the first playoff game in 31 years. I do think they're legit, is what I said. Burrow and Chase both have come out and said they're not satisfied. Don't expect them to lay down, is what I got on my sheet. So, leading off, not Jimmy G. That's who I have in his notes. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. Leading He's leading the league as far as yards per attempt at 8.9. Jimmy G is 8.6 behind him, and Stafford is 8.1 for clarity as far as leading. He's 4,611 yards during the regular season. Wild thing is, he's not playing in a gimmicky offense, and he's 70% completion rate. 34 touchdowns, 14 interceptions on the year. He has 60, y'all, 20-plus yard passes on the year and 15 40-plus yards on the year. That actually ties him second with Justin Herbert, and those two are behind Matthew Stafford, and he has 18. He's also got 40 attempts rushing with 118 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. This is it, too. He also has 5 fumbles. He's 20, last weekend he was 24 for 34 with 244 yards and 2 touchdowns in the playoff game. Again, his completion rate was 71%. Another X factor with him is sacked 51 times. And that's some of his own undoing, and some of it, his line is just getting dog wash out here too. That right tackle is a candy bar. Honestly, the center to the right tackle is down home cooking for you. Next guy on the list, Joe Mixon. Cool thing about him, I don't know if it's cool or just a big old flex. This man had $400,000 in jewelry flown in for the home game in Cincinnati. I actually talked to the jeweler yesterday, and Gabe was like, yeah, man, he ended up having to make his jewelry and customize everything within 8 days. Had somebody drive from New Jersey to friggin' Cincinnati, drop this man $400,000 in jewelry. So, hey, that can be an expensive ride back to Cincinnati. You send him back with an L. Thing about him, though, pure running back. I've heard this from the time he got into Cincinnati because we used to play them 2 times a year. He has great balance. You hit him, he doesn't necessarily go down every single time. That's how we describe him. Great balance, good power, not over-the-top speed, but he's a guy that runs the balls very efficiently. Also good at catching the ball, too. The screen game with him is very strong. This year, he's got 1,205 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns. He averages 4.1 yards a rush. Thing is, like I say, he's not super fast. His longest run on the year is only 32 yards. He's a B version of Derrick Henry almost. He doesn't have the home run hitting ability, but he's very efficient. He's good in the screen game, and those guys get out in front of him because why? When you're as bad as their offensive lineman, it seems like everybody can get to the quarterback, so it allow you to rush upfield and dunk off to the screen game. Last weekend, he was 17 rushes for 48 yards. Also has 2 fumbles on the season, only losing 1. Backup, Samaje Perine, 55 carries on the season. Now, the young alien, JMart Chase. Rookie, and I actually heard Buck say this too, he didn't play last year, so there was no real talk of a rookie wall when it comes down to him. You know, a lot of guys, rookie wall, it's end of the year. Well, he didn't play last year. This is actually a true rookie year for him. Should be offensive rookie of the year. 128 targets, 81 catches, 1,455 yards, and even after one game, he was like, well, I should be the offensive rookie of the year. He's legit, man. Also has a long of 82 yards, and 18 yards a reception is his average. Does have 2 fumbles. Against Las Vegas, he did have some rushes. They did the toss sweep with him to get a first down. He had 12 for 19 and 116 yards rushing. 12 targets for 19 catches and 116 yards against Vegas. My thing was in their losses. I put in my notes to look it up as far as his catch percentage goes. In their losses, he's averaging about 40% catch rate. Teams that get on them and get on him, they tend to lose the game also. So multiple turnovers and getting Lamar catch radius, his catch percentage down. JMart Chase, catch percentage down. Those are big factors as far as wins and losses for Cincinnati. Another guy who's a receiver on their list, T. Higgins. Any team would want him as a number 2. Guy has come in and just really had a solid career so far. Thing I didn't realize about him too, from Oak Ridge. So he's coming home. Mm-hmm. Also this kid is 6'4", 215. He's a friggin' avatar out there.
He was the one that was supposed to be
the guy.
A Tennessee Vol.
Oh yeah.
He and Trevor both.
Well, they both went to Clemson. Celebrated his birthday yesterday. Like I said, any team would want this young guy as a number 2. Missed 2 games and still had 110 targets and 74 catches. So it's 2 receivers on that doggone team that's had over 100 targets and over 70 catches. He ended this year with 1,091 yards and 6 touchdowns. Big kid, 908 yards his rookie year, so his production isn't a new thing. Third up on his list is Tyler Boyd. Another guy that was real close to 100 targets, 94 targets and 67 receptions. He's the older guy of the group, and he's got 828 yards receiving with 5 touchdowns. Very solid vet who knows how to play his role right now. He's had 1,000 yards receiving seasons, and right now he's just in a role where he's gotten paid fairly well there, and he's just watching the young boys eat. Real cool watching, that little trio come together right there. CJ Uzomah. Their long lost answer for a valid tight end option. And truth be told, he hits the market this offseason, and he's probably going to get another bankroll because he's actually shown up towards the latter part of the season, and somebody's going to go out there and pay him. I put in there what a time to be alive for him. He's got 493 yards receiving and 5 touchdowns. He's a red zone threat for them, and just pretty solid as far as run blocking and being a blanket for Joe Burrow. Last part of this offense, their offensive line. You heard the number.
It's better than last year's.
That ain't good.
I know. Last year's was all-time terrible.
So 51 sacks on the season. It's a snack on the right side of that offensive line. Just point blank, period. Right tackle, young guy, gets lifted off the ground pretty good. Right guard, they is cooking there, and their center too. Just not all that well. They actually had activated Xavier Suafilo yesterday, but they cut him yesterday evening this morning. He's the veteran 7-year guy that was expected to come back. Also, former Titan Quentin Spain is at the left guard position. They got a early first-round left tackle that's playing well on the left side. Right tackle, right guard, center is modes to eat. But again, they will slow you down because of the screen game a little bit, and they are efficient because, I'll be honest, Joe Mixon is a good running back. He's bargain brand Derrick Henry as far as his ability to chip away at defenses and his balance and run after contact. That's most of their offense. Like I said, the biggest thing, multiple turnovers for this team.
That's going to be in it almost any game.
I know, but it's really like spot on.
Well, I mean, the Titans, when they turn the ball over, they've lost too. Like most teams ain't going to survive turnovers in the playoffs.
And if you can break up JMart Chase.
Like I said, during the middle of the season, not to hit a wall, but they weren't very effective.
Yeah.
Now they're dealing more than they've ever been dealing. So that you kind of have to break that momentum a little bit.
And there's 2 things going into this too. Christian Fulton, who should be the marquee cornerback this game, also knows Joe Burrow, also knows JaMar Chase. He also knows the receiver from he also knows T. Higgins, national championship game and everything else. So lot of familiar faces in this matchup this weekend. This is a young Gunners weekend.
Robert Mays, the Athletic, will join us after the break. We'll get his breakdown on this game, the AFC, the playoffs as a whole. One of our favorites. He's next. JMart Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Imagine if the first way we did things was the only way because somebody told you that's the way we've always done it. And that's what happens when you sell your home. You list your home and you got to keep it show ready because you never know when somebody might want to come by for a quick look. Or you got dozens of people marching through your home that may or may not be serious about buying it anyway. And this goes on and on and on and on until the right buyer comes along. Well, now we found a way for that to end. And it's Ramon Foster, and I want to tell you what I did. I simply went to opendoor.com and I put in my address and home info, and I got an offer back in no time. No listings, no strangers, no stress. Open Door gives you a real competitive offer in minutes. Just go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer. Open Door is a new way to sell without all the hassles of a traditional home selling. And you'll know exactly what you're getting. And the best thing is you can decide when you want to close. Go to opendoor.com/WGFX and get your free offer today. That's opendoor.com/WGFX. And offer eligibility varies. And Open Door is represented by Open Door Brokerage, Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Open Door Brokerage, LLC in its other markets.
Here's one, Moan. Here's one I like more than Tennessee whiskey.
I've listened to this a few times too.
This is from a Room, Volume 1, I think. JMart and Ramon, 1045 Zone, lifted up by all Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. If you miss Nate Washington, take that drive-by at Joe Thomas. I urge you to go get the podcast.
Please.
AFC North pettiness is a thing, man. It is a real thing. 11-year NFL veteran who played in the AFC North for all 11 years is Ramon Foster. Jonathan Schaefer. I'm Jason Martin. We played a combined 0 games in the National Football League. We're on Twitter at JMart and Ramon. Guests appear on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline, including our friend Robert Mays of The Athletic. Good morning, Robert. How are you?
Doing well, guys. How you doing?
Pretty good. I know you weren't able to travel because of COVID. Are you? Is everything good now?
I'm good. It was really one kind of bedridden, work from bed sort of day, and now I'm feeling just fine. So hopefully I'll be on the road this weekend. I'm going to fly to Kansas City on Sunday morning. A very inconsiderate friend is getting married on Saturday, so throwing a little bit of a wrench into the plans, but I'm going to try to get out there the day of if I can make it happen.
Is that person still a friend after making that choice to get married on a divisional Saturday?
In the COVID world, it's been rescheduled. I think you got to give people a little bit of leeway and cut them a little bit of slack. We've been friends for like 20 years, so if I didn't go to his wedding, it would make me a pretty bad guy. So I will be there.
So analytics, Titans fans hate them. A lot of them do, but I think Tennessee specifically because they're the number 1 seed and the DVOA numbers and all of the advanced metrics seem to cut back against them. Every time Aaron Schatz writes an article, we read it on air because we know what the response is going to be. So what do you make of this? Because I know you use DVOA a lot. You and Nate and you and everybody at The Athletic talk about it a lot. And we go to Football Outsiders regularly as well. So explain how the Titans are just breaking all the analytics.
Well, they had half their team for half the season. So you're going to look a little bit worse in the aggregate when you have not been the team that you are right now. And I think that's kind of what makes them a little bit scary. I mean, if you look at it, though, I want to say they're at least in the top 10, maybe 7th in weighted defensive DVOA. I'm doing that from memory. But I think that they are. And when you watch their defense play right now, when you've seen them at full strength, it feels that way. But offensively, they are not the team they were a couple of years ago. And that's for a bunch of different reasons. They have not had the receiving talent that we've seen in years past. I mean, A.J. Brown missing a huge chunk of this year, not even having a guy like Corey Davis. I mean, imagine having Corey Davis instead of some of the guys they were trotting out there in that Patriots game, for example. I mean, it's been a real dearth of talent at the receiving positions, and they've struggled as a result. But I think if you look at what they've done maybe over the last month or so, and even within that, without the receivers being healthy with Julio and A.J. Brown out, the offensive line, there was a guy missing a game here or there, right? You'd have Saffold and Luan out 1 week. You'd have Nate Davis out the next week. And that stuff matters when you have a team that is really reliant on that group as kind of an engine of what they do. So now you step back and say, well, what can we be? I don't think that this group without Arthur Smith and with some of the moving pieces maybe is going to be the efficiency monster that we saw in 2019 and 2020, but I think they absolutely can be better than what those DVOA numbers would have said over the entirety of the season.
So what matters when it comes down to this team as far as how they've won, though? Because you say all of those things, and it does make sense as far as look, you got to knock them because of what they've done. But what actually matters when it comes down to the wins, the biggest thing that they did this year was knock off Rams, Bills, and Chiefs, and then kind of put themselves in the number 1 seed. So I'm just trying to understand what did that actually do for their DVOA.
I mean, I'm sure that those games obviously are going to be held in pretty high esteem, but then look at a game like the Patriots game. Look at a game like the Steelers game that was virtually unwatchable. In the end, I mean, those games are going to weigh you down, and that's why you're going to be sitting there in the middle of the pack, even though you've won some impressive games. So that's not surprising to me that that's where they are according to the overall advanced numbers. It's also not surprising to me that their defense is a top 10 unit and better than their offense by those numbers because that's who they've been this year. Mm-hmm. And I honestly think it speaks to how impressive the job that coaching staff has been, the job that John Robinson has done. Coming into the season, I did not have a lot of faith in their defense being a lot better than it's been over the last couple seasons. Mm-hmm. You go out and you sign a couple free agents in Danico Autry and Bud Dupree. And free agency spending is often not fruitful. You're paying for guys that are hitting the market for a reason. And when you don't have that many kind of homegrown players step into prominent roles, you have a ceiling. There's only so far you can go, even with some quick fixes. And the way that those homegrown players have developed this year, just kind of how that group has all come together. I mean, now you have a defense without a lot of holes that's been able to carry you at times. And I just did not expect that to be a version of this Titans team we'd see this season.
That's one thing I will agree with you on right there. Is I've kind of said that as far as this team goes, like the idea that re-signing, Harold Landry this offseason and just, Jeff and just everybody else. So to you guys, and as far as, I guess, with homegrown guys, you mean stability moving forward for a team that has the ability to grow their talent in-house. That matters more than free agents to you.
It's cost control as well. I mean, it's really important to get some of those guys on free agent, on rookie deals where, they're guys that are going to be making $1 million a year. I mean, if you look at their offense, that's been one of the big things that they've been able to do, right? I mean, having A.J. Brown making $700,000 and being arguably a top 5 receiver in the league is really important. So you look at the defense, I mean, you got guys like Christian Fulton, guys like Elijah Molden. Having those guys be plus players this season and come along like they have has been so important. David Long has been nice, a really good presence for them in the middle of the defense. I mean, all of those kind of guys. Jeffrey Simmons has ascended. And that's when you really start to be cooking with gas, is when you have all of these guys in the first, second, third year of their rookie deals, not playing for very much, and they're really positive players for you. That's how you can go out and spend $16 million a year on Bud Dupree, have him be hurt for half the season, and have it not be this anchor weighing down what you are defensively. Okay, so on the other side of that, I think it's been one of the biggest robberies I think I've ever seen mid-season of a football, mid-season of an NFL season, is the idea that Zach Cunningham. What does he do for this team? Is that actually a plus for them, or is it just smoke and mirrors because he's just new to this team? I mean, I think that when you can get somebody for not a lot mid-season and you can try to just drop somebody in and just another presence and depth at that position, that matters. He's given them a certain physicality against the run. You watch a couple clips of them just playing downhill together. That matters. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's not the most important aspect of what they are defensively, but it's one more piece that they'll be able to use. So, I mean, teams have taken advantage of the Texans this year, man. I mean, when they didn't need players, and it's understandable, right? If I was a GM of a team that needed contributors, those are the first places I'd look. A team that was the oldest roster in the league, that had signed a bunch of guys to one-year contracts. This regime, this Nick Caserio regime, has no ties to Zach Cunningham. They didn't sign him to that deal. So it feels like those are the places that you can find guys with teams like that, and multiple teams have gotten contributors from the Texans that they're enjoying right now.
Yeah. Robert Mays, The Athletic, joining us here on the show. So you're going to be in Kansas City, and that makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of star power, and that quarterback matchup is going to be a world of fun to watch. That said, do you feel like the number one seed in the AFC is flying a little bit under the radar in the circles and the people that you're talking to, or are they being taken seriously as a number one seed?
I don't think they're being taken seriously enough. And it's the number one seed thing is, I don't know how much that matters. I think that them getting a bye last week, that's nice. But at a certain point, you have to beat the Bills or the Chiefs coming to your place. And that's what's going to end up happening most likely. I mean, we know that's what's going to end up happening if the Titans win. So the reason that I don't think they're being given enough credit is because of the defense. No matter, you look at the way that those two teams played, the Chiefs and the Patriots, or the Chiefs and the Bills last week. That is a level of offensive firepower that the Titans don't have. Even if the Titans are playing well and efficient football, their quarterbacks aren't supernovas that can just explode at any single time. And I think that's why you're going to have more attention paid to the Bills and the Chiefs. But this Titans team and the way this defense is set up and the way they've played all season, they can make it hard on anybody. And I think that's why, even if when they play one of those two teams in the AFC Championship game, if they get there, I think it's going to be a tighter game than people probably think, just because they've been a really hard out all year. They're not an easy team to play against. They're not an easy team to beat. So I absolutely think that they should be taken seriously, but I don't think that they're the most dangerous team in the AFC. I think that we saw those two teams play last weekend by virtue of what their offense can look like when they're really rolling.
So about the Bills, I mean, I listened to you and Nate, and you guys spent, I don't know, felt like 20 or 25 minutes just gushing over the Bills' performance against the Patriots. How sustainable is what we saw? I mean, 47-17 is not necessarily sustainable against better opposition as you go forward. But what are the Bills right now? Like, are they as legit as we seem to see on Saturday, or are they still kind of the up and down team? Do you buy fully into them right now?
There's no way to know, right? I mean, that's the nature of being inconsistent, is that you're inconsistent until you're not. And that's what they were all season. They were the most inconsistent team in the league. So maybe there's a world where they play they play the Titans in the AFC Championship game, and they play the Chiefs this week, and they put up another dud. But I think they're starting to figure out who they want to be offensively. And there are going to be one of the things that they really were not hitting on at times this year. They did last year. Those deep ball connections to guys like Stephon Diggs, that shot down the right sideline that Allen hit. Mm-hmm. They were doing that all the time last year, and that has not been as consistent a part of their offense this year because that stuff isn't always sustainable. You're not going to hit as many of those beautiful 1 in 15 sort of deep shots down the field. So when they're doing that, that's how they can score 50. I don't know if they'll look as dominant in that area as they did last week going forward, but I do think there are elements of what they're doing offensively where they figure it out, and that's who they want to be. The first is just Josh Allen being willing to take what's underneath when teams play that soft zone coverage against them, because he was not doing that early in the season. And I feel like the Week 16 Patriots game is the game that I really point to. I think the second half of that Bucs game and then the Week 16 Patriots game, I was like, all right, if they can start playing like this stylistically, they're going to be dangerous. And they've continued to do that. It's exactly what they did against New England, and then they also were pushing the ball down the field. And the other side of it is their running game. It was a problem early in the season, and not just the lack of commitment to it, but when teams dared them to run the ball, they could not run the ball. And running is all about, unless you're the Titans, when you want to do it all the time, running is usually about running when you have to run it. When teams are baiting you into running it, when teams are devoting resources in such a way that you need to be able to run it, can you do it? And right now the Bills can. They've leaned into a lot heavier personnel packages. Gary Gilliam, their fullback, Reggie Gilliam? Yeah. Gary Gilliam was the right tackle for the They caught that ball in the NFC Championship game. So Reggie Gilliam, their fullback, he played the most snaps he's played all season last week. And just having that sort of physicality layer to what they are on offense, Josh Allen running the ball. And then little things, like Isaiah McKenzie now out-snapping Cole Beasley. This is just a version of the Bills' offense that I never anticipated last year and early this year that we would have by the end of the season. But I think they've done a really good job of problem solving to figure out, all right, what's the best calibration of who we are on offense? And I think they found that.
Yeah. As far as this weekend goes, man, it's a divisional round, and for the teams that are hosting, Kansas City and the Titans. I know Kansas City is known for their crowd and the way the game is kind of depicted sometimes. Does that matter for the home teams when looking at these two matchups in Kansas City and here in Nashville?
I think it does. I mean, I think that playing at Arrowhead is it's a hard place to play. Going to Lambeau and what the Niners are going to have to deal with, and if the Packers win, what the Rams or Bucs are going to have to deal with next weekend. It's always difficult to go into a place like that, but I mean, I have a feeling that the Titans crowd will be able to get up just fine, for a playoff game when they're the number one seed. I mean, I was there at the Ravens game last year, and I didn't really come away from that game. I know it was during a pandemic, thinking, what a terrible crowd. I can't believe these people aren't engaged. So I assume that everything will be just fine. Playing at home is going to be a positive for you no matter what, especially when it comes with a week off.
Yeah. Robert, how interested are you to see what Derrick Henry, we assume he's going to play. We're almost sure he's going to play on Saturday in this game. Just watching him come back and seeing how many touches he gets, how effective he is, whether or not there is any rust or if he's ready to roll. How interesting is that as a storyline?
It absolutely has to be because their running game, I think, when the offensive line has gotten healthy, it's been efficient. They've been able to kind of lean back into a version of themselves that they were with Derrick Henry, just in terms of approach. We can be this even if it's a diminished form. But if he's 95% of himself and now you have that home run element back in play, where he could turn what should be a 6-yard gain into an 80-yard gain. I mean, that's an element that is really important to this team because they're not necessarily the most efficient rushing offense in football. Their success rate, if you look at it, isn't that of a team like the Colts or a team like the Eagles at times this year. It's 3 yards in a cloud of dust sometimes, but when you can combine that with the home run hitting potential that Derrick Henry gives you, I think that's something that's a little bit different. So if he's playing 20 snaps and getting 12 carries, maybe those 12 carries can result in a couple explosive plays that they've been missing.
So another thing, we know the Bengals have explosive play potential. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Uzama has emerged a little bit down the stretch, and Burrow they're really fun to watch. I'm excited to see this in person, to see them against Tennessee's defense. What challenges do they present? And when you look at this matchup, how is this matchup from Cincinnati's perspective, looking at what they have to deal with against the Titans?
Watching that game against the Raiders again, it's crazy how on the same page Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are at all times. When you watch the way they use him, it's not the craziest stuff in the world. He's an isolated receiver on the backside of plays, and it's just a matter of however you play him, they're going to try to make you wrong. If you're going to play man and you're going to try to play just in his pocket, they're going to try to throw back shoulder balls, or they're going to try to beat you over the top. If you're going to give him cushion, they're going to work underneath, and Burrow's going to get the ball out before he's even almost out of his break. I mean, they're really trying to isolate him in those one-on-one situations and let him go to work. So, I mean, it really isn't the craziest stuff. You watch that team, and it's not like, oh, man, they're running the coolest play I've ever seen. It's the fact that Burrow is just so in tune with where he wants to go with the ball right now. And the other part of it is, I was thinking about the matchup against the Raiders last week, and the Raiders had, I believe, the highest pressure rate in football this year while blitzing the least, which is very, very hard to do. And Max Crosby was a big part of that, and their front dominated the Chargers.
Yeah.
And you look at that Bengals offensive line, it's like, man, this is a mismatch. Like, if the Raiders' defensive line can own this game, then they can win this game. And then Burrow gets the ball out in 2 seconds or less half the time. And on the plays where he doesn't, his pocket movement and ability to just make guys miss in the pocket and extend plays is remarkable. Because when you look at it, the Titans' defensive line against the Bengals' offensive line is a mismatch in favor of the Titans. But if Burrow can mitigate some of that stuff yet again, then maybe it doesn't really matter. So I feel like the Titans' defense is going to be a problem. And at the other outside of this is something I found really interesting in the initial research that I was doing. The Raiders run cover 3 a majority of the time, right? I mean, you look at the numbers, that is true. It's not just a mischaracterization of what their defense is under Gus Bradley. But the Titans are the most varied defense by the approaches that they use in the NFL. Looking at the numbers I was looking at last night, they were the only team in football to run cover 1, cover 2, cover 3, and cover 4 on at least 100 snaps this year. Wow. And they do a really good job of just disguising that stuff right before the snap. It's not crazy. It's not Harrison Smith sprinting 25 yards from the line of scrimmage into the deep post, but doing little things to make it hard on the quarterback. And I think that is a distinct difference between the game that the Titans will play and the challenge they represent and what the Raiders represented last week.
That's really interesting. That makes me think Shane Bowen needs to be talked about more. Would you agree with that?
I think they've done a really good job of understanding this is the personnel we have, this is how we want to play. They have not blitzed a lot. It's actually kind of crazy when you look at the approaches just by numbers between the Bengals defense and the Titans defense. They're arguably the two most similar defenses in football. Man coverage on almost the exact same rate of plays, about half the time on third, or excuse me, the Titans are actually a pretty heavy man team on third down, but overall it's like half of snap, or like 30% of snaps, like 16th and 17th rates in the league. They blitz at, I think, the second and third lowest rates in the league, or third and fourth. They're very similar defensively. And I think that they've really leaned into, all right, we don't need to bring a ton of extra heat. Like, if we just run this variety of coverages, our safeties are kind of interchangeable in a way that really works for them. If we want Hooker to play in the post and we want Byard to play near the line of scrimmage, he can do that. So if we're playing too high shell before the snap and spinning down, that works for us. They've really settled into that well. And I think that Fulton being a really reliable outside corner and Molden stepping into that slot corner role has been really important in that way. You look at it and there's really no weaknesses. Byard is, in my opinion, is playing like a superstar. Like he was my first team All-Pro safety. I think that he's a really, really good player. The plays he makes are not tipped ball interceptions. He's going out and making splash plays. But even if the rest of those guys aren't superstars, there's no one that you feel like you can pick on in that group. Jackrabbit Jenkins is a solid pro. What the steps Fulton has made, I mean, it's a really solid group, and it's a group that's hard to take advantage of. And I think that's been one of the biggest reasons they've been able to be successful, along with that defensive line just being a complete unit and a unit with complementary skill sets.
Wow. So who is coming to Tennessee next week? Because it seems like you're picking the Titans. You can tell me otherwise, but it seems like you feel like Tennessee's got the advantage in the matchup.
No, I don't necessarily think that. I think that even if you have matchup advantages and even if your roster is better in some areas than the other, I like Ryan Tannehill. I think that Ryan Tannehill is a really solid quarterback. Joe Burrow is playing better than Ryan Tannehill. Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in football this year. And when you have an advantage at quarterback and playmaking traits at quarterback, even a slight one, that's always going to give you a real shot. So I think that it's going to be a good, close game, but they absolutely could win. Looking at the other side, I truly don't know. I truly don't know. I hope that it's going to be like a 41-37 type of game where we can't keep track of all the points, because that's what I want to see as an observer. But I really don't know. I think both games are going to be very, very tight, very, very close.
Well, all 4 games are awesome. Like, there's no duds in this mix, so it's going to be a cornucopia for football fans. We appreciate it, Robert. Enjoy the wedding. Be safe on the travels to Kansas City, and hopefully we're going to have a whale of a weekend.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate it.
Indeed. That's Robert Mays. Man, he said a lot there.
Yeah.
Remember I told you a lot of national guys just don't spend a lot of time? Well, he spent some time with the Titans.
That's why I told you. I was like, man,
that's why I like him so much.
Free flowing right now. Yeah. I didn't expect all of that.
Yeah, he cares about this a little bit. He goes into detail. So I'm going to read this real fast as we go into break. I don't know if there's another guy who talks as much smack as me on the field. I talk a lot of smack. Guys get a little annoyed, but I don't care. To me, that's part of the game. That's how I play. I'm going to talk. I was always told if you're going to talk, you got to back it up. Of course, playing that many snaps against a guy the whole game, you're getting double teamed. You finally get that one-on-one. You're like, thank you. In the Titans' 34-3 wipeout of the Dolphins, Simmons was getting doubled, so he was blunt to guard Robert Hunt, the 39th overall pick in the 2020 draft. He tested his manhood during a timeout by stating bluntly to him, "You can't block me one-on-one." The very next play, Hunt was all alone. Hunt took the bait. The best trash talk, Simmons adds, cannot be shared publicly, other than just telling guys they suck, he says, or whatever it may be. That's just a bit of an excerpt from Tyler Dunn's piece on Jeffrey Simmons, which finally has hit today.
It did.
Jeffrey Simmons says, once we're at our best, we're unbeatable. The title, How Jeffrey Simmons Fuels the Grimy Titans. Go read it at golongtd.com. We'll be right back. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, hair loss. I say that it might make you stop in your tracks because you're a little bit worried. You've been looking in the mirror. You're not so sure anymore. You've seen some old photos of yourself at some friends' weddings. We just have Robert Mays on. He's going to a wedding this weekend. Maybe he's going to look back in those pictures in 10 years and wonder where the hair has gone or where it's starting to go. It's thinning. You can just start to see a little bit of that scalp. You're not so sure. Well, I'm sure of this. If you go to PAI Medical, they're going to do everything they can to reverse that trend and make you feel good again and want that camera back in your face to take new photos. Michael Ramsey and his staff are experts at what they do. There's nobody better. Surgical procedures, they'll take care of that. But if a surgical procedure isn't necessary, they offer the most advanced non-surgical options anywhere in the country. Laser therapy treatments, which are like 20 minutes, just totally painless, that can regenerate sleeping hair follicles and balding spots, non-surgical, comfortable procedures that work. Also, cost. Affordable payment plans that fit anybody's budget. If this has just felt like something that was a pipe dream, I probably can't afford that. I'd love to do it, but PAI Medical will find a way to make it work within your budget. I'm a client. I decided I'd go there. I was thinning a little bit on top. I wanted to just make sure we stopped right where we were. And so they've been taking care of me now for the last 3 months. Mickey Ryan, you've heard him talk about PAI for years. He does the laser stuff as well. This stuff works. And these people are the absolute best, not just at what they do, but just as human beings. They're awesome. PAI Medical has helped Nashville for over 25 years. All they do is hair. They're the very best at it. If you've ever thought about it, stop thinking about it and do it. And do it today. Don't let it get any further down the road. 615-376-6010. 615-376-6010. Talk to them. Let them show you their plan. You'll be thrilled. Or visit them online at wegrowhair.com. That's wegrowhair.com. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. So the Jeff Simmons piece, which I obviously is coming out now, so I won't be able to read it all until after the show.
Want to see this?
Go to golongtd.com for that. The name of the piece, though, or like not the headline, but right underneath the headline, the little blurb. This team has no business being the number one seed. That's always going to be what's said. And guess what? They don't have any business being the number one seed. Considering what they had to overcome, they shouldn't be here. That's a compliment, though.
Mm-hmm.
When you lose Derrick Henry, and he's as big a part of the offense as you've dealt with, you spend money on Julio Jones, and he can't stay on the field, and A.J. Brown misses all this time, and I'm just mentioning 3 guys. You shouldn't be the number one seed.
Right.
But you are. And that's why I don't understand why there's even a debate. Like, Mike Vrabel should just get every coach of the year vote.
Yeah.
They're really that to me is just I think he will win it. If he doesn't, we're gonna feel a certain type of way because it doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be the number one seed, yet they are. And Cincinnati's coming here on Saturday. Our thanks to Robert Mays for joining some really good deep dive, especially into the Titans defense, position by position. And then we got to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to it. So, who's coming to Nashville? Oh, whoa. Joe Burrow. Like, right, I know. He has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. No doubt about that.
Yeah. I'm just retweeting out this article. I was reading a little bit too by Tyler Dunn, and boy, he did his thing on this.
Mm-hmm.
He did his thing on this, and it's all about what you're saying with Vrabel and his staff, just picking the right guys, getting the right culture. That's one thing we talked about on this show a good bit: the culture, the mindset, the coaching staff standard. Like, it's pretty cool, man. Real cool stuff he got in this article.
No doubt. We got Red Brian coming up after the top of the hour headlines. We kept Robert a little bit longer because he was giving us gold. He's giving us good content that we wanted, to say the least. Red will come in here. We will break this game down from every angle that we could. We'll talk about some of the things that have been said on the airwaves this week, and we'll get you all set. He'll get you hyped up. Red is feeling it.
He's ready to roll.
He is feeling it. JMart Ramon, 4th hour straight ahead here on the Zone.
It's a new year, and if a new vehicle is in your future, let me tell you about the Built For You program at Two Rivers Ford. Here's how it works. You can order any Ford, any color, with any available features, and Two River Ford will order it for you and have it delivered to your door when it gets manufactured. That's pretty cool. So when you get that vehicle manufactured in Detroit, it has your name on the sticker. How about a Ramon Foster Badlands Bronco in Cyber Orange? And we know why I chose orange, right? They also have new vehicles arriving almost every single day. So keep checking tworiversford.com. They have one of the largest selections in the state. Also, if you want someone at Two Rivers Ford to contact you to be on the lookout for a vehicle you want and alert you when it comes in, just give them a shout and they'll make sure you get a heads up. The salespeople at Two Rivers Ford, listen to me, they don't work on commission. So when you go there, there's no pressure of you buying whatsoever. They are there to simply just help you along and make the process easy for you. And I couldn't talk about Two Rivers Ford without reminding you that they are a local business. They have been here in this community since 1983. And my friends, you know, a business that's been locally owned for almost 40 years is going to treat their customers right. So for all things Ford, reach out to the most trusted Ford dealer around. My friends at Two Rivers Ford. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
9:01, good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. To the hardwood we go. 24th ranked Tennessee scored the final 8 points of the game to defeat Vanderbilt 68-60 last night at Memorial Gym for the Vols. 9th straight win in the series. Also, Tennessee has won 11 of the past 12, including 6 straight at Vanderbilt. Santiago Vescovi led the Vols with 14 points. For Vandy, Scottie Pippen Jr. led the Doors with a game-high 18 points. We go back across town to Bridgestone Arena last night. Vancouver defeated Nashville 3-1. The Preds have lost 4 in a row after going 12-1-1 in their previous 14 games. And the NBA, the Grizz, they are red hot, one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NBA. They are at the defending champs tonight, the Milwaukee Bucks. Grizz have won 12 of their last 13. Tip-off set for 7 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What's happening? 4th hour hashtag fastest 4 hours in radio is upon you, upon us. We're blessed to bring it to you courtesy of All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. All4seasonsgarages.com is where we want you to go to learn more. 11-year NFL veteran, involved for life, Ramon Foster, Jonathan Schaefer, Rhett Bryan, Titans Radio, executive producer and game day host with us. I'm Jason Martin. At Rhett B Tennessee for him, at Ramon Foster, at Schaefer on Sports. I'm at JMart Radio. We're at JMart and Ramon. Inky Johnson into the show as well. The Tennessee Titans are the number 1 seed in the AFC. Shocking, I know. Most playoff coaches try to brand their team as underdogs this time of year with tough guy, blue-collared press conferences. Players claim to be disrespected. Social media departments work overtime, spamming Instagram accounts with anything negative said about their team. All of the us against the world tropes get old. But then there's the Titans. Outside of the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles, no top seed has been ignored to this extreme in years. And I love that Tyler Dunn starts his piece at GoOnTD.com about long form about Jeff Simmons with that comparison, because I've been thinking about that for the last couple of days, and that's the team I keep going back to. And I mentioned it to Coach Mack last week, Rhett, that to me, you counted the Eagles out because Carson went down, and then Nick Foles came in and did what Nick Foles did. But I remember being on Fox Sports Radio and saying, whoever plays the Eagles, I got them. Because Nick Foles is the quarterback. And then all they did was win. Derrick Henry goes down. They're still the number 1 seed. The 2017 Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl as a top seed that wasn't talked about at all during that postseason. So there you go. And, we've had guest after guest, and we'll continue to have guests that will say it. But Robert Mays said it best in our last segment there in the last hour. He said they're not talked about enough, especially the defense.
I mean, look, people are going to write and they're going to say whatever. And, I heard you guys starting at 6 o'clock this morning with the whole DVOA thing and all these analytics and stats. And, of course, now I was really laughing when Eric in Nashville called. He's now become a drop of the show.
Yeah, we also have our guys already made a T-shirt with that written on it too, in case you want that.
My backside.
My backside.
Anna lick my backside. There you go.
And look, analytics has a place in football. It's more prominent than ever. But the way I look at it is, DVOA will never trump third down conversion, time of possession, turnovers, those kinds of things. Those tell the game story more than anything. And I think you're right, Jason, in terms of all the guys that pick through these numbers and build these spreadsheets are looking at the Titans as an anomaly. They're like, how does this make sense? These guys shouldn't be here, but they are. And that's all that really matters, because it's going to rile up Titans fans. They're ready to go anyway. They're sitting on go. They're going to choose violence every time. But that the thing of it is, and you're right about the Eagles in 2017, and that was even a bigger case because that's a quarterback position that they lost. and Nick Foles came right in. And, I mean, that Super Bowl, they tore New England up.
And look, Brady had over 400 yards in that game.
Yeah.
Still lost.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of like what Buffalo did to New England the other night.
Yeah.
At Highmark Stadium. I mean, that was crazy. But there's a game to be played, and it's Saturday at 3:30. And people better buckle up because it's going to be something else.
It should be an unbelievable game. Obviously, we've kind of already given away our predictions before we get to Friday, but there's just so much to like about the matchup. If you want to talk about the Titans' defense and their front four, the explosiveness potential for the young studs in Cincinnati against that defense is just a great matchup for football fans. Like, this is the game that, as a football fan, I want to see. There's some other teams I think that the Titans would have had an easier team with if things had broken their way differently in a wild card round. But I want to see this game. I want to see these two football teams.
Yeah. I mean, they're the only team in NFL history with a 4,000-yard passer, 2,000-yard receivers, 1,000-yard back that are all 26 years of age or younger.
Wow.
I mean, they've you know, and for people to go, well, you know what? They suck every year. They get the number one pick. You still have to hit on those picks.
Yeah, you do.
Now, Joe Burrow, okay, I agree. You got to take him and, hope that all works out. Well, that's going to work out just fine.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase, same thing. But you still have to hit on those picks.
Yeah, you do.
And they've done that in previous drafts leading up to where they are now. C.J. Uzoma, the tight end, he was a draft pick of theirs back in, 2015?
15,
They picked up Hubbard in 2018, who has done a really nice job at the other DN spot. So, I mean, they've got stuff there. And I think the thing that was the most interesting is Zach Taylor's postgame press conference the other night after they won, is he thanked Mike Brown, the owner, for being patient with them. And that's something, this better than anybody, man. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Mike Brown has notoriously been cheap through the years, living off that TV money.
Powdered eggs.
And, he's sitting on the precipice of something important here. And even if it ends Saturday, they've got a lot to look forward to down the road.
And where I stand with Cincy Red as far as, just where I played and stuff like that. And we've always looked at them like, man, y'all got a lot of good players. You do, but you'll never get it, But you even so, I picked the Titans win simply because I looked at the breakdown the way this goes with these two. But future, you got to say, okay, Cincy, y'all finally did something right. And it doesn't feel like a bunch of free agents that they signed. It's a bunch of guys that, like you said, Zach Taylor just had to thank the owner for having patience. But the same thing has happened here in Nashville, too. As far as patience, a first-time head coach in Vrabel, John Robinson getting the gig also. Looking at the way both of these two teams are constructed as far as they built something. And since it's a little bit earlier than what we thought it would be, but looking at where the Titans are and the guys that they have and what they have coming up also, this is a real good conversation to have about two teams that are doing stuff the right way, as opposed to being the Jets or being the Giants or being the Jaguars, Well,
Mike Vrabel set the table for the week when somebody asked him about the game they played in Cincinnati 14 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I just want to throw up when I watch it. And that game is one of the reasons why they retooled the defense in the offseason in 2021. They could not get off the field on third down. Joe Burrow and that Bengals offense, they were 10 of 15 that game.
And the offensive line, we talked about going in, was one of the worst of all time.
It was makeshift. To give you an idea, Bobby Hart, who worked for the Titans this year, he was inactive for that game. He was hurt.
He didn't even get to play. They had to put a backup for Bobby Hart in that game.
Right. I mean, it was piecemealed together. They did not sack Joe Burrow that day. They could not get off the field on third down.
We talked about that because they weren't sacking anybody. We're like, if you can't sack this team, you can't sack anybody.
Yeah.
And then they did.
Now,
they didn't.
And the thing was, I don't remember the exact number, but Joe Burrow at that point in the season, because it was November the 1st, he'd already been sacked 30, 40 times. And it was, I think it was the next week that they gave up the ghost and tore up his knee. But, I mean, they go back and look at that game. First of all, they're very fortunate that they have game film of their own to watch
Yeah.
with Burrow against Burrow. And, that was a Jonathan Joseph. That was a bad game by him in a Titans uniform. But they have a lot of lessons just to learn out of that. And the other thing about this Bengals roster, they've basically grown up during the season. I mean, listen, they've done some amazing things against some big-time talent and done a lot of it at home, and that's good. That's where you're supposed to cultivate those things. But reading a piece in The Athletic a couple days ago about where they unleashed Joe Burrow after they lost that 49ers game, there was a play where he didn't run for it on a third down or whatever, and that was basically the end of the ball game. He's been on fire ever since then. And, credit to Zach Taylor for saying, okay, kid, let's go do something here.
What's interesting about that game last year is Cincinnati was just super efficient against the Titans. They won 31-20. They put up 367 yards of total offense. But what's wild, this Titans offense put up 441 yards on them.
They ran for over 200 on the ground.
223.
Yeah. Derrick Henry had 112 yards, and then Deontay Foreman was in that game. He had some runs. So did Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it wasn't like they, but the other part is they only look at the difference of the time of possession. And that'd tell you right there they couldn't get off the field on third down. It was like 15 minutes difference.
I remember not watching the end of that game because I knew it was over. It's like,
it was
move on.
It was terrible.
Move on. That's incredible.
And then the
especially when you get
one turnover of the game was committed by the Titans, and there was a difference there. But they literally could not get off the field on third down, and they could not get to Joe Burrow. That is one of the biggest, if not the biggest key in all this because – and I'm not discounting Joe Mixon because he had a great year after he was hurt a lot in 2020. They can stop Joe Mixon. This Titans run defense can do that. They've got to do something with Joe Burrow. They got to get him off of his right foot. They've got to.
We'll come back. We'll see what the Bengals defense looks like. We'll let Ramon kind of deep dive into that a bit. We'll take these two phone calls. Daryl and cousin Mike has been waiting a while. Mike, I apologize. You just kind of ran into guests in a short last segment. We'll bring you on with Rhett, and we'll take both those phone calls. So hang on. Busyness still to come here on Scout Meeting Wednesday. JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone. LASIK's life-changing. It really is. Not having to wear glasses, not having to worry about that, and not just because I have a 9-month-old daughter, but just because I've been wearing them for so long and I wanted to take them off. And LASIK just felt like it was something that, maybe eventually down the road I'd be able to consider it. It felt like a pipe dream for a long, long time, but LASIK MD came around at the right time with the right offer. $490 per eye, you can potentially get LASIK done. That's where it starts. If you can find a better price somewhere else, they'll match it. They'll match competitor's price. They'll take that off the cost of your procedure. The care with which they've taken care of me since day one, answering every question, making sure I knew exactly what was going to happen moment to moment in a 10-minute procedure that was painless. Less than 3 songs I heard, and I was done. Dr. Greenberg's done over 80,000 of these, including mine. Dr. Wynn and everybody at LASIK MD, just fantastic at what they do. They gave me what I needed, which was photorefractive keratectomy. A lot of you are just going to have the basic LASIK. Almost all of you are. You'll be back in action in about 24 hours. Mine was a little bit more of a lengthy process. They told me up front what it was going to be like and how it's been. And I'm just so happy that I picked them. And I want you to pick them too. And here's the easiest way to find out if you're a candidate for LASIK. Schedule a free consultation. LASIKMD.com. LASIKMD.com. If you've been thinking about it, no reason to wait. I want you to see the world through brand new eyes. LASIKMD.com. I actually have not heard this. I heard of this, but I had not actually gotten to hear this.
Yeah, it's off the Metallica Blacklist album where dozens of artists covered Metallica songs from the Black Album.
Yep, nothing else matters here.
Mm-hmm. How about Stapleton there?
That's the name of the song, Moan.
Oh, I was about to say.
I'm not doing disrespectful things.
Jeez, Moan.
That was so long.
You really think I'll be listening to you? I ain't listening to you.
Hey, we choosing violence.
Reading from the PeaceGoLongTD.com. Think about it. When did you stop caring about the Titans? Maybe it was on October 31st when Derrick Henry suffered a foot injury. He hasn't played since. Maybe it was on November 21st when they lost to the Houston Texans, or 6 days later when they placed A.J. Brown on injured reserve. He missed 5 weeks. Or when you saw Ryan Tannehill throw one of his 14 interceptions and declared him the same old Tannehill, nothing but a poison pill come January. All the Titans did the final 2.5 months of the season was take on the identity of their head coach, Mike Vrabel. There should be zero debate for Coach of the Year. The Titans lost the heartbeat of their team. Henry still went 6-3 to secure home field advantage in the AFC. And then a deep dive into Jeff Simmons. You should definitely read that and subscribe at GoLongTD.com. The work that Tyler Dunn and his crew, Bob McGinn and everybody over there are doing is really, really impressive. All right, Moan.
Yeah.
Break down the Bengals defense, then we'll take a couple of these calls while we got Rep Ryan, of course, of Titans Radio here on Wednesday.
All right, starts with the guy that's in concussion protocol. You can pass the concussion test in a week. He's going to do it. He's going to play. He's going to be there. So just wrap your heads around that. I don't think it's going to be an issue. First year in Cincinnati, he's their one-year sack leader with 14 over guys that I respect the heck out of, Geno and Carlos Dunlap, man. Both of them dudes all Pro Bowl guys. Think about Trey Hendrickson. He's a size guy with a motor, and he's got really good bend. I'm talking about violent hands, man. Really good guy, man. We'll run through you. Also, 27 quarterback hits this year. Another guy they paid a whole lot of cash for last offseason, DJ Reader, man. The highest paid nose tackle in the league. And that's a position you don't even hear about anymore. And they devoted a whole lot of cash to him to help them stop their run game, man. From Houston, so you're very familiar with him. DJ Reader was down, I think, for 4 or 5 years. 2 sacks on the year, but he plays his role. Guy that Rhett brought up on the break. I think or in the last segment, Sam Hubbard. Been solid for them for a while. Is an Ohio guy, went to Ohio State University. Savvy guy who will he'll watch a play. He'll bat the ball down. You got your hands on him. Keep your hands on him. 7.5 sacks on the year. Also, again, a motor guy. He'll get abused, but he keeps coming back, man. That's just who he is. I remember playing against him too. Knock him down, he's getting right back up. Now, this next guy, I know I bragged on Trey Hendrickson, but this next guy I'm going to talk about may be their most important offseason signing this year. One of them, if not, he's 1A, Mike Hilton, undrafted free agent out of Ole Miss. When I tell you he is a hard-nosed, vicious, run-stopping attack, he knows how to blitz. He knows where his entries are as far as getting to the quarterback. He's a very savvy guy, man. I remember I played with him too, and one thing about Mike is he does not turn down anything. We used to go at him all the time. He'd get right back up. Coach Tomlin used to go at him, and Mike would be like, do it again. Bring it back. You got your hands full. Know where he is. He creeps to the line of scrimmage. Like, I don't know, you see him coming, you still got to get to him, man. Really good thing. A lot of their run stopping and blitz, I feel like, go through him. And like I say, he's not afraid to throw his face in the fan. D tackle, BJ Hill, solid, 5.5 sacks on the season. Agile D tackle, kind of undersized, about 300 pounds. He can be moved around. Get your feet on him, move him out of the hole, you're good to go. Young guy, Logan Wilson, 100 tackle guy this year from Wyoming. Not only that, athletic type guy too. 4 interceptions on the season at linebacker. I think that's very impressive for that position. Got to have on your eyes and hands on him. He's side to side, can drop in coverage. 4 picks, like I said, got to acknowledge him. Another guy, Jermaine Pratt, side to side, 3-year guy. Now, the secondary of Cincinnati's. I was a little bit more impressed with it when I went through their stat line and just read up on these guys a little bit too. Chidobe Awuzie, Eli Apple, we know the former first rounder from the Giants, also with the Saints. Von Bell and Jesse Bates, all solid, all season vets. And I don't care if they got 2 or 3 years or 4 or 5. All these guys have played a whole lot of ball actually. And even on the back end, or they're too deep in their secondary, they got very solid veteran leadership too. Michael Thomas. We know Michael Thomas. Also, Ricardo Allen helped mentor these young guys through. I think that's the reason they've been able to survive some games is because they got veterans. They got young guys who are athletic enough to handle the job. They have actually created a culture of letting the players create their own culture. So secondary, beatable. Eli Apple can be a candy bar. He made some really good plays in that Raiders game last weekend. He's not the old guy he used to be in New York as far as the mistakes, but he can be taken advantage of. That, honestly, is the gist of their defense. They can be pushed around. They can be abused. They're missing Ogunjobi this weekend. I don't think they're going to have – yes, that's real big.
It's huge.
They're looking on the market for young D tackles. I'll be honest with you. That's what they're doing right now. I think that's one of the reasons they didn't bring back the guard, Philo. They didn't bring him back. They activated him, then cut him. Can take advantage of that D-line. That's where I'm at with him. But Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, you got your hands full. Do not get behind the sticks. But that's the most obvious take you can actually say about a defense. Don't get behind the sticks because you're going to see Mike Hilton running up the sideline or, helping secure the run game. That's my breakdown of this defense.
That's pretty well said. I mean, Henderson was limited, I think, yesterday in practice, but just the fact that he was out there at all, he's going to play.
Yep.
I mean, this is all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Unless
win or go home.
Yeah, exactly right.
Ain't
Mike
no way he's not
Hilton
playing.
was hurt
Yeah.
on Saturday. Got
He was
rolled
full
up.
participation, I think, yesterday.
Got rolled up, stayed in the game, and stopped Hunter Renfrow.
Yeah.
Late in that game on third down.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of their first free agent acquisition gets.
Outstanding nickel corner, and I knew he was going to be good because Moan was trying to get him here.
Yeah.
Because Moan was still saying, hey, there's room for Mike Hilton down here, too.
And I say that because what you want is playmakers. It might not look sexy. He's not a first rounder. He's an undrafted guy from Ole Miss. Heck, I don't know many DBs from Ole Miss, but his tenacity, you got to appreciate it. He never turns it down. Like you said, he finished the game because he wanted to help Cincinnati get their first playoff win. And, hey, that's... Get to Mike, get to Hendrickson, and keep Sam Hubbard from batting down balls, man. You'll be fine this weekend. I don't want to minimize it that much, but those three guys right there, keep your eye out for them because I feel like they can create the biggest spark for that defense that's without Larry Ogunjobi right now.
So let's take these calls while we got Red here and see what topics they have to talk about. Cuzzo Mike's been waiting forever. We apologize, Mike in Cleveland. What's going on, Cuzzo?
Yo, what's up? What's up? It's all good, Jay. Yo, but I was actually gonna say fellas, and Jason, but you apologize, so I'm gonna let that slide, man. But what's up, Red? How you feeling, man?
I'm with it. Let's go.
Yo. All right, so basically, I was calling because Jason, when you brought up Foreman earlier, you was talking about have him start the first half and then put Henry in. I thought that also, but Henry, we all know Henry gets better throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, if that's the case, y'all think it might be like pretty much wow. My bad. Somebody just lost a whole load on the highway.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah.
You
Y'all
lose
might
your
think,
load.
wow, that's but anyway, phrasing. But anyway, so with the first half, how that goes, I think Henry definitely deserves to start. But is it pretty much how it's been? Let's see who has the hot hand and keep him in, because Henry, he gets better throughout the game. He'll start slow. Foreman, if he's doing good, do they keep him in if Foreman is doing good, or do you take him out so the king can do the king things? And I don't know. I just wanted to hear y'all's opinion on that, man. Y'all be good, man.
All right, buddy. Be safe out there now.
Yeah, man. Be safe.
He just saw those dash cam videos.
Yeah,
I see on YouTube.
Yeah,
on the
yikes.
highway.
Final Destination 2.
Wow.
Never going to be the same being on the highway after watching it. Let me really quickly clarify what he was saying about what I was saying.
Okay.
I wasn't saying that Henry shouldn't play in the first half at all. I was saying maybe ease him in.
Yeah.
Jeff Saturday had mentioned you ease him in a little bit in the first half and then give him more of a workload in the second half. It's not that he wouldn't start or anything like that. He does get better throughout the game, to Mike's point, but a lot of that is because the defenses are beaten down. Those yards, the holes get a little bit bigger. Sometimes the defensive line's able, or the offensive line's able to push the pile a little bit more, and you don't want to tackle that guy later in the games, even more so than you don't want to tackle him early in the games. So I think if you still had him in the second half, and as long as Foreman was actually doing something for you in the first half, or Hilliard or whatever you were doing, maybe you only give him 8 touches, 10 touches in the first half, and then potentially more in the second as you're trying to play ball control. And if you get up to a big enough lead, maybe you obviously take him out.
I just hope that, the thing that keeps getting lost in translation here, I want to see the play action passing game because 22 is in there.
Mm-hmm.
And if, depending on what looks you get, if you can hit some shot plays with that and maybe a score, maybe you don't even have to worry about all that. Maybe you just keep churning this thing. But in terms of who gets what, put the big boy in there and let him eat.
Yep.
Now, I don't pretend to know what his foot is like or what's going on. I have not been to practice. There's only a few people that can be anyway. But if big boy's ready to go, feed the beast. Let him go.
Yeah. So with Derrick Henry though, Vrabel is not afraid to go with the hot hand. Do you feel like, as far as the flow of the game, that if Foreman is the guy, you keep him? If he gets 2-3 positive plays as far as the run game, or they're just going to rotate him, right?
I think it's just going to depend on what you, because I honestly, because you know this better than anybody, in these playoff games, everyone elevates their play.
Yeah.
And I feel like these two teams are going to be like an old 80s wrestling match between two powerhouses where they would go into Greco-Roman knuckle lock and they would kind of size each other up and test of strength. And they're going to kind of get through a series or two like that, and they're going to all right, here we go. This is what we can do now. So it may be one of those things where time tells. But, I mean, I could see where D'Onta Foreman will get some carries. I don't know how that's going to work out. But, yeah, if D'Onta Foreman has 6 and 7 and 8 yard runs, you're going to – I mean, why wouldn't you? You wouldn't go away from that. But we don't know how hungry Derrick Henry is.
No, we don't. We don't know. We do assume he's pretty daggone hungry.
Oh, my gosh. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's got to be on fire inside, right?
Has to. And just as far as – we saw this team go through 91 guys. Right now, I feel like this team is probably as healthy as it's ever been since week 1, right? As far as getting guys back.
I thought the injury report yesterday was a typo.
Yeah.
It's the shortest I've seen all year.
I saw it.
Sometimes it just feels like it's breaking your way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they've weathered a storm for 4 months, and they're finally getting some seriously delayed gratification.
And that's where I kind of want to go to with you, Rhett, as far as guys you put up. It's 46 that's available on game day. Now, there's been a lot of guys that play and a lot of guys that may play at the linebacker position, and the other position, too, is D tackle. Now, you got Zach, you got David Long, in these positions. You got Jayon. There's a lot of guys that's in the fold. And then on the D-line, you got Jeff, you got Larrell, you got Naquan, you got Tierre.
You're afforded some luxury decisions here.
Hey, where are you?
Whereas before, you got 7 guys out at the podium with Vrabel on Friday, and you don't even have to worry about an inactive list. You got it right there. It's done.
Who gets the bone this week, Rhett? You know what I'm saying? As far as
I think they all want the bone. We'll just see who gets it, right?
God.
Okay. Daryl on line 2. Daryl, what's going on?
What's going on, man? This is Daryl. I called in yesterday, and I was trying to just let people know that the Tennessee was just an average team. And only thing I'm saying is, if they don't win it this year, I'm saying they're the number 1 seed. They've won some close games. They got home field throughout if they can go to the playoffs. I'm saying for the last couple of years, they went to the AFC Championship game, got knocked out. Last year they went to the playoff, got knocked out. Now, this year they got everything set up for them. So if they don't win it this year, is it time to bust it up? Because like I said, Tannehill got a couple more years on his contract. That'll be 2 more years on Derrick Henry. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure Derrick Henry is a great running back and want to win a championship. So it's not the rushing game, because I can remember back in 99, they had Eddie George, they had Chris Johnson running 2,000 yards. This team right here doesn't even compare to the 99 team with Wycheck and McNair and all that, and still couldn't get over the hump. They talk about Vrabel as the coach of the year, no question, no this. But there's been a lot of good coaches. Like Andy Reid was a good coach in Philadelphia, but they let him go. Sometimes it's time to start all over and rebuild. I'm going to let y'all comment, let the callers call in, but the Titans is nothing but an average team with a great running back.
All right, Daryl, here's the thing. You can't compare the 99-2000 Titans to now. And here's the reason why. And this is no slight towards Chris Sanders, Kevin Dyson, or anybody else. They did not have an A.J. Brown or Julio Jones in that wide receiving core. They haven't had a wide receiving core like this with a 1-2 punch like this in the history of the team since they've been here. And while the defense in some areas may be a lot better back then than here, the difference in what you outlined with an AFC Championship game in Kansas City 2 years ago or a Baltimore loss at home last year in the playoffs, they didn't have Danico Autry. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Simmons is still coming along in this thing. They don't have a Zach Cunningham at linebacker that they scooped up off of the waiver wire. Christian Fulton was not a Titan 2 years ago. And he's clearly quarterback number one. Again, this game they lost to Cincinnati 14 months ago is one of the reasons why they went and retooled this defense. And this defense is going to give them a lot better chance to survive and advance than just 2 years ago. Period. I mean, it's just that simple. Now, given the obvious, they can't turn the ball over like they did in the stretch there towards the end of the season. Yeah. And they've got to make it count where they can. And they've got to get touchdowns, not just field goals. But I don't know about this, keeping it together or breaking it up or whatever. Listen, in terms of what's got to happen, yeah, it's got to be right. You need to go win it now. And then you worry about all the other stuff later. Win it February the 13th, and then you can worry about March the 15th when the new fiscal year starts.
Yeah.
I mean, the more you stay in the mix, the more good decisions that you make, the more cracks at the apple you get.
No.
Eventually, you bite it out and you win the thing. And that's what Georgia just did. Georgia kept getting bites at the apple. They lost the national championship, but they kept on recruiting well year after year after year. If you bring in the right people and you have a coach that can motivate them properly, eventually, you usually win. Now, there's some situations where you're playing against Michael Jordan and you can't win. And look, you're kind of playing against Michael Jordan in football right now with Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. There's going to be a lot of teams that don't have championships because they played in the era of those guys. Yep. But the idea of blowing up the team or Vrabel being Andy Reid and needing to change it, like easy, heel boy. There's not like – I mean, think about this. If Buffalo doesn't win it, the way everybody's talking about Buffalo right now, how they talked about them this season and how they maxed out everything and they've got everything that you possibly want. If they don't win, do you blow that team up?
That's true.
Like how big is everybody's window right now? I think you have to look at it. I think you have to start to look at it differently and consider the fact that only one team wins a Super Bowl every year, and there's still a lot of teams that are not just average football teams that sometimes come up short. Titans may not come up short this time. I would bet against them at my own peril. I'll say that.
They've got to take care of business. It's Saturday at 3:30. They have to.
That's the only opponent they need to worry about right now.
That's where it starts, and how it ends, we'll see.
Sometimes
we just do.
Sometimes
we just do.
And sometimes we just need Inky Johnson.
Yeah, we do.
I feel like we could all use
on a
Inky.
Wednesday.
I think we could all use Inky today.
We certainly could. I know this guy could. This guy talking right here.
I don't know that Nashville – I don't think Nashville or Titans Nation necessarily needs motivation. I think they have all the motivation they need, so we're just going to help you run through a brick wall when we come back.
There we go.
Inky Johnson, Midweek Motivation, JMart and Ramon, 104.5 The Zone.
Bacon.
how he approaches the game and how much he wants to be A1. And you can see why he's good when you read his own words. So, again, go on TD.com is where you can go to read that piece. We'll probably have Ty on it again here. Probably now we're going to have to.
And this wasn't just an overnight article either.
No, yeah. I mean, we knew about it because we talked to him about it last week. And also, he's done a piece recently about Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you can read on both teams. Bengals have signed somebody.
They have signed
on the defensive line.
I had it on they signed D tackle Zach Kerr from the Cardinals practice squad. He's a 8-year veteran. He 95 career games, 16 starts. Career stats are 166 tackles, 9.5 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. Man, he's played with what are his teams? He's been with the Broncos, the Panthers, San Francisco 49ers, and recently with the Cardinals. So,
in short, he's been with some solid defensive units.
Out of Delaware. So
they needed somebody because their depth was starting to lack.
Yeah. This is in case the Josh Topu can't play either this weekend. So they got some real issues at D tackle. Now, the thing is, their starters are pretty good. Like I said, Hubbard's good. Hendrickson is good, and I like DJ Reader too. Thing is, DJ Reader is he's not a third down D tackle. So you get him off the field, they need a pass rusher in there, and that's where they're going to rely on Topu at. So, real interesting. Beat him up, man.
Tomorrow on the program, Dan Horde, the play-by-play voice for the Cincinnati Bengals, Steve Palazzolo of Pro Football Focus, Coach Mack.
Mm-hmm.
And how about this? We got Iron Eagle tomorrow, who'll be on the television call Saturday with Charles Davis, who just finished calling Bengals Raiders, so he knows Cincinnati specifically because he just saw them. And then on Friday, we got Mike Keith, of course. So we got both the radio and television voices over the next 2 days for you. And Ian's one of our favorites.
Ian's good.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he is.
And now we got Nance in Nashville. We got to get Jim on.
At some point, we'll make it happen.
He's listening right now. Jim, call the show, 615-737-1045. He'll be at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Sunday night. And then he'll be right back here next Sunday for the AFC Championship game.
Yeah. Big time, Jay.
So big show tomorrow. We'll have a lot of fun with it. Plenty more hijinks. We didn't even get to the topic that we said we were going to potentially do to lead off the show, which was which quarterbacks do you think are going to win a Super Bowl before all is said and done. We'll do that tomorrow. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll probably do it in the first hour of the show. So get up early with us. Hopefully everything is good tonight. The ice storm or whatever is not going to be too problematic for you. But stay safe out there. Cuzzo, stay safe.
Please stay safe.
Out there on the roadways. If you need any motivation, Titans fans, I can't imagine that you would. But our guy Ink has sent it in for you. So let's get ready to run through a brick wall for the two-tone blue. Here's Inky Johnson. We'll talk to you tomorrow. JMart and Ramon.